Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, which means it's time for yet another Salty Saturday morning. I am your host, producer, Matthew Kadish of the Salty Nerd Podcast. And with me today is my fantastic panel of nerds, starting with Matt Vader 74. How you doing, buddy?
Hi. How are you?
Doing good.
I'm drinking my coffee. I'm having a hard time today because I want to know if instant cold brew is really cold brew. If it's instant coffee, is it actual cold brew? Because this is from that hippie grocery store that I go to every once in a while, and it said instant cold brew coffee. So it's just like Sanka where you stir it in. But is it just Sanka or is it cold brew coffee? I don't know. I'm really kind of confused.
These are the questions that plague us.
I need people to help me out here.
And he's here. He's queer. He's Brian from the Popcast. How you doing, buddy?
I hate everyone equally.
Yes, our Latinx representation is here today, so we appreciate you coming on the stream this April Fool's Day.
Yes, I look very Latin.
He looks like Mexican Iron Man, right?
Thank you.
A little bit. All right, so originally we had Dave Cullen booked for today, but unfortunately he had to back out. So our stunt cock is here to fill in for him. Conspiracy Tom.
Yeah, what's
How
up,
you doing,
guys?
buddy?
I'm just over here supporting the current thing, whatever it is. I'm all for it. Just go.
And his triumphant return to Salty Saturdays is Odin from OMB Reviews. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine. Glad to be back. I was sad to have missed the last couple because of different things going on, but yeah, I'm especially excited to talk to y'all about the John Wick review y'all did.
Oh man.
Well, we did end up missing you. So real quick before we get going, I just want to remind everyone that if you sign up for our YouTube membership, every month we're doing a special giveaway where we will choose a random member from the previous month to receive a free Salty Nerd hat, courtesy of mixtees.com, which Brian, of course, co-owns and runs. But the big thing right now is a word from our sponsor, Extra Wallets. So we've got basically these very fine-looking modern wallets that the company is sponsoring us, and they're really nice. They got Italian leather, they got carbon fibers, space age aluminum. They can hold up to 12 cards. They got a special like GPS tracker in them. I'll show Brian's thing here. So like if you lose your wallet a lot, you can actually like track it down. It connects right to your phone via Bluetooth. It's got RFID blocking. So like if you're worried about your information getting hacked, you don't have to worry about it with this wallet. They're really nice, high quality wallets. And guess what, guys? We're going to be giving one away at the end of April, or at least at the end of the promotion. And the way that you guys can basically be entered to win one of these $70 wallets, which you will get for free, is type in hashtag Salty Saturday in the chat, and you'll be instantly entered for a giveaway, which we will do at the end of the live stream today. And last week we had the winner Mighty Orbots win the giveaway, and basically every week the winner gets entered into the final drawing for the actual wallet when the promotion's over. So that's your free way to win, and anyone who actually donates $10 or more in super chats gets entered for every $10. So basically, if you are tipping us $10 in super chats, your name is automatically entered, and so you get a chance to win this wallet as well just by supporting the show. So we really appreciate that. And real quick before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to our top donator, Scotty Dub, who came in last week with a massive $200 super chat to take the top spot.
Nice.
He dethroned the Astro Nerd Boy, who was the previous champion at 150. But Scotty Dub is firmly in place in that top spot right now. But of course, we got the $100 club, belongs to the Astro Nerd Boy and Bob Dorsey. Our most consistent donators, Joker Voice and Fluffy Panda, and our top super thanks donator, Backyard TARDIS. Now, every month we're resetting the leaderboards for the top donators and the super thanks. So if you guys want to get your name on there, be sure to do that. And our top contributor, Scotty Dub, gets his own kind of special place of honor on the screen. So we really appreciate that.
Matt, I thought Scotty Dub's donation last week was like mind blowing. And then I paid my electric bill, and I thought, Come on, Scotty, you can do better than that. Too.
Yeah, I mean, like that covers about what, like a third of our electric bill.
Yeah,
out here.
Man. Come on, Scotty,
out
come
west.
hard this week, baby. Come on.
Well, we appreciate everyone's support, and we definitely will get to it. And Tom, I saw your text, but I'm in the middle of hosting a show, so like I will get to you when I can. Want to shout out everyone who showed up in the chat right now: Anthony, Mark, Cheery Kane, Penny, Danny's mom, Mr. Smudboy, good to see you, sir. Goran Faith or Falth, don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry. Fred Farkle, Shorty Short, the Astro Nerd Boy is here. We've got Gavin Blackburn, our resident super sticker star. Richard Lawson. We've also got, let's see here, Robert Daniels, JS Pina, Mighty Orbots, our winner from last week, and Mr. Roy, and 52 movies a year. Hail all. Thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate it. So let's get into our first topic. What do you say? So we're going to start off with a little bit of mea culpa here. So we put in a review on the Salty Nerds that was not very favorable to John. And we have not heard the end of it ever since that review went live. Vader, why don't you give us a breakdown of the backlash that we've been getting off of our Salty?
A breakdown. Well, I mean, basically, you know, we released our review, and we immediately started getting crap. It was pretty immediate too. I mean, the chats just started for our little channel. The chat is the replies were pretty crazy. It was like people just telling us we're wrong. We actually lost a few subs because, you know, opinions. It was just like
there was one guy in the chat who basically like unsubbed right there.
Yeah, it's like
as we were doing it live.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. There was one instance this week where I was watching Jay over on Drunk 3PO, and I didn't even say anything about John Wick, and I just said hi basically in the chat, and he highlighted it and immediately berated me for like a good 4 minutes on the stream about how my take is terrible and we're all a bunch of idiots. And you know, it's okay. It's classic Drunk 3PO, but he did end up, you know, giving us a really good shout out, and it was all in fun for him because that's how he rolls. But you know, it's just been one of those crazy weeks where we have differing opinion, and people apparently don't like it when we have different opinions from the normal
shocking
mainstream, right? It's wild, but yeah, it's fun. I don't mind. It's, you know, keeps you on your toes once in a while.
Odin, you support the current thing. Why don't we hear your take on John Wick 4?
Excuse me, it's not just a supporting of the current thing. It's because it's a fantastic franchise, and I think that this one is really a perfect continuation of the previous films, and also in a way it's like a completion of this phase of the John Wick universe too. In fact, it was so good I went out and bought this bad boy from Best Buy. Ooh. And it's basically, yeah, it's pretty cool. And you know how in I believe it's the third film where he has to go and get the book from the library? That's what this is based off of. So it's actually even got like fake pages all in Russian, like everything. And then all of a sudden you get to it and you're like, oh, there's the good stuff. And it's the 3 films on Steelbook. Nice. So it's just beautiful. But I really love the film because it takes, as I said, everything from the previous films and adds on to it. Because I think one of the biggest criticisms I hear is that it kind of just, it's over the top and it's fallen away from what the previous films did. But in the end, that's what every film has done. Like every subsequent film has gotten more and more crazy, but has also remained itself like within its own contained universe. You know, whereas with films like, you know, Fast and Furious, you start to have this expansion of things getting crazier, but then they also start to go in a direction where you're like, wait, this is not even relevant to what's going on anymore. This one, it goes crazy, but it also stays within the universe that it is, which is this Hitman's universe, where if you break the rules, you get in trouble, and all these other things. And, you know, of course, John Wick being essentially invincible for the vast majority of the film, hey, go and rewatch those other movies because the same thing happens in those movies too. So, I mean, and to be fair, I think any criticism of the film is valid because it is definitely long. Some of the sequences absolutely are on the long end. And even though I personally love that, not everyone's going to love long action sequences where you don't have a chance to breathe, you know? and again, sometimes stories can go to the point where for some it's too ridiculous or it's too beyond being able to suspend your belief for a moment, right? Whereas for me, I was just like, I want more of it, and I felt like it was good fan service in addition to also building the lore, which they've been doing very well, I think, for the last few movies. But that's just me.
That's interesting because I found that it was actually very lore breaking because there seems to be no civilians or police or governments in this world. My favorite part was in the third act where it basically became a remake of The Warriors for a good 20 minutes. Conspiracy Tom, did you see John Wick 4 and what are your thoughts on it?
No, I didn't see it yet, but I did listen to your guys' review of it. And the entire time I was like, oh boy, this is a salty review because I mean, honestly, it's an action movie first and foremost, right? Name 10 amazing action movies. You know what I mean? That have a good story and it develop Predator,
Wick 1, 2, and 3.
Wick 1. There's not many, right? And so, to dog John Wick as hard as you guys were dogging it. I mean, I get it. The 3 wasn't very good either, and neither was 2, but they're still John Wick. They're still fun. I haven't seen it yet because honestly, you guys crapped all over it, and you made me not want to see it.
Wow.
So
Go see it. I will tell you, go see it. If you like the other films, like the fact that you just said, 2 and 3 are kind of, ridiculous, but you still like them because they're John Wick, you'll like this one.
So
see, and I find that really weird because I immediately felt like I was not watching a John Wick movie. Alex and I were both in the theater, and we got to like the first 2 action sequences, and we looked at each other and we're like, "This isn't Wick. Something's off. It feels strange, But that we both felt that way just tells me that there's something that's not quite right about this movie.
Yeah,
So,
and Tom, John Wick 4 is almost as long as Avatar 2 was.
Oh, Avatar 2 was a little too long as well.
But Avatar 2 also sucked.
Boy, yeah, that was a tough one.
So that's another thing they have in common.
It was super pretty. Avatar 2 was super
Matt.
pretty. That's what it was. It was super pretty. But my conspiracy angle on John Wick, I mean, I talked to you about it, Matt, is I was really hoping that Matrix 4 and John Wick 4 were going to be the same movie. I had this vision that John Wick was Neo and he was like re-breaking out of the Matrix, and Matrix 4 being John Wick 4 would have been the dopest movie ever made. And I think we can, no matter anything you say about the woke weirdness and all this of the new Matrix movie, that would have made both those movies absolutely amazing. Thoughts on that?
I will say this. I feel like John Wick 4 was far better than Matrix Resurrections. Real quick, though, I just want to remind everyone that we will stop the stream in order to address your super chats. And we have our first super chat from Astro Nerd Boy for $5. What? How dare you have an opinion different from me? Rage. Thank you, Astro Nerd Boy. Yes. It's kind of funny, like when we do some reviews and like everyone on the table has like a different opinion about the movie. It can be quite an interesting topic. And then we have Mexican Iron Man for $10. It's okay that Salty Nerd Podcast doesn't like Wick 4. Now here's my super chat because I want to win a wallet and a new hat. # brown guy wallet hat lives matter. Yes, they do. They
Thank you.
do.
We have one more. Just came in.
One more that just came in. She nanned Andy Gans for £5. I'm sure I butchered that.
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans. Yes. Loving your Saturday show and season 3 of Picard. Chilling by the canal with a pint of real ale. Sending love from Black Country, West Midlands, UK.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Shenanigans.
Very cool.
Appreciate it. Glad that you're liking the Saturday live stream. We work hard to make it enjoyable. Okay, Brian from the Popcast, what was your take on John Wick 4? Did you hate it as much as we did?
Well, my problem was that Matrix Resurrections has done such damage to me that I can't watch Keanu Reeves in anything, so I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, it's been tough. John Wick, the first John Wick movie was like a revelation. Like there was something, you watch that movie and you're like, John Wick with a bic, and you're like, you kill my dog, you're done. And it was amazing. I watched the second movie and I was like, okay. So when the Matrix came out, I've been on an anti Keanu Reeves thing lately. So I mean, I'm sure I'll eventually watch it, but then you guys took a big turd on it, so I'm like, do I really want to watch it? But now I got OMB reviews. He's coming hard. So I'll probably watch it.
I would also say if you're if one of your issues is with Keanu, I would say there's videos that's been going around, and it actually I think was originally released a while ago. There's videos of Keanu helping the crew move pieces of the set.
Yeah.
Like that was cool.
He is a legitimately good person.
Yeah,
I know that he's still Hollywood actor, and so I'm sure he's not perfect. But based on anything I've known about any Hollywood actor, he seems like the most real person, or at the very least, doesn't seem as an elitist as anyone else.
Yeah, I think after the second Matrix movie, he bought like everybody a bunch of Harleys.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he's awesome, and
he has his own motorcycle company.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Keanu. He owns like a company that makes motorcycles.
Yeah, it's hard not to love the guy. It's just the movies he's been in lately suck. So hopefully this is...
All right, guys. Well, the big thing that surprised me about our review wasn't like we knew it wasn't going to be an unpopular opinion, but the crap that we've gotten from viewers and commenters and fans was a little bit surprising to me, because it really was kind of, dare say it, toxic. What do you guys think about having like an unpopular opinion that garners this kind of fan backlash? Because I feel like we at the Salt Your podcast just got a small taste of what everyone involved with Star Wars gets every day, or maybe like Terry Metalis on Twitter or something like that. Odin, you're part of like the Friday Night Tights crew, who's famous for having like a lot of interesting takes on popular franchises. Maybe you can talk to this, because you guys get a lot of backlash too for your takes.
Yeah, and even beyond FNT, I mean, I get it on my own channel because everyone, if you haven't watched me at all, then you wouldn't know. But if you've watched even one video, you probably know I'm not a big fan of the Avatar franchise. And so I had, obviously a plethora of Avatar fans coming after me for my criticism of that film, or the MCU, right? There's MCU stands that come out anytime you say anything negative about an MCU film, DCU as well. I mean, I think the biggest backlash I ever got was probably for my take on Endgame, because I hated that from the get-go. Like, I just was like, this was not a good movie. This was just not well written. They don't even understand how, like, they are having differing opinions on how time travel works in their own movie. Like that's a problem. That's a big thing. And I had people going after me and, downvoting and all this other stuff. So I'm used to it. And yeah, I mean, that's why it's fun to have the conversations with people that are actual, like, I don't want to say like in a demeaning way, but actual nerds, right? Like actual nerds, because actual nerds will fight ruthlessly, but they'll still walk away at the end of the day and shake hands.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Whereas trolls will, will hate you and will unsub from you and will go after you and all these other things, and not actually, seek a real conversation,
Oh yeah, I think half the fun is reading the comments of pretty much anything, right? Yeah, and anytime I see a Marvel, DC, Disney post, I love reading through the comments, because they're either filtered out to only put really, really, really positive ones, or they leave them all in. It's a wild ride, man, to go on that roller coaster. So anytime you want to challenge the new wave, fourth wave nerds out there, they are what's the word? Passionate, very passionate.
Well, the level of hate that we got reminded me of Snyderverse levels of hate. Well, we're like, I'm very critical of Zack Snyder. Yeah, the minute I say something bad about anything regarding him, it's like his bot army just descends upon me.
My review of the Snyder cut. Oh yeah, I got a lot of hate for that.
Brian from the Popcast, you guys have a different take on this, because you're right in the middle of the Star Trek fandom, where you have a lot of anti-Kurtzman people attacking you guys for having a positive take on Picard season 3.
How dare you?
Well, yeah, so they attacked us when we said it was good from the beginning. So before, of course, we got a chance to see it early. And so everybody's like, you guys are full of crap. It's going to be terrible, just like the rest of it. Then it came out, and most people were like, oh, God, okay, they were right. It's really good. And then, but you got that small portion of cultists, the Doomcock cultists out there. Sorry I said his name. It might bring him here.
You're fine.
I'm telling you right now. So lately, because Starfleet Academy was announced, now suddenly it's our fault that Starfleet Academy was announced, because it's now everybody's saying, if you guys hadn't supported Picard season 3, we wouldn't have started.
I'm calling them never trekkers from now on. Hashtag never trekkers.
That's a good word.
They have,
fair. It is very fair.
Yeah, they have no desire to watch Star Trek, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
So they're just like those, those MAGA haters, never trekkers. I think it works. So
that's a good word for them. But just so you know, Starfleet Academy's been green behind the scenes for 6 months, and I know it's been reported a bunch of different ways, but we knew back on Star Trek Day that it was coming. So, it's not us, guys. Okay, it's Paramount. Go be mad at them.
And I hear if you say Doomcock's name 3 times into a mirror at midnight, he will appear and shout you out on his live stream. So there's that.
We'll let Robert Meyer Burnett feud with him. Okay, I don't want any of that.
Hey, I'm a Doomcocker myself.
I see that.
Okay?
Yeah.
I love the guy. I'm what is it? He named me his minister of naughty thoughts.
Yeah, I actually appreciate Doomcock's hustle, man. That dude's he's got it going on over there. You can't argue with it. He's just kind of. I just don't like his take here. Well,
he can't. The problem is he can't have any other take.
Right.
Like literally, his minions are set up that if he has any sort of positive take about anything he's been negative on, they'll rise up and bring him down.
If he watched it and liked it, he wouldn't even be able to admit it.
He couldn't.
The thing is, though, is that he is a super villain, so we have to take that into account.
Right. Yeah, absolutely true.
All right. Speaking of super villains, let's talk a little bit about Elon Musk and his changes over at Twitter. So as you guys know, April 1st, and maybe this was just a big epic joke on Elon's part, but basically legacy check marks have gone away. And as of right now, you have to pay $7 to $8 a month on Twitter in order to show up in the suggested For You feed. However, if you're following people, the people you follow automatically show up there. But like if you want the Twitter algorithm to recommend you, you have to be in there. But in addition to this big change, in order to pay to play on Twitter, they have released part of the source code of the Twitter recommendation algorithm. And one of the things people noticed is that the previous regime on Twitter was categorizing people by political party, whether you were Democrat or Republicans, and treating you differently based off of your political alignment. Now, Odin, I know you have a lot to say about this. Let's hear your thoughts.
Oh, I mean, it's just because I've only seen a little bit of it on social media because I've tried to limit my social media, compared to what I had, in previous years. But when I saw that bit of news and they were like highlighting that part of the code, I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, it was clearly obvious. It's really great to have confirmation now, like having the actual code to look at and say, oh, there it is, clear as crystal. I guess my big question would be because we know people were treated differently. Is that something where, some type of suit could be brought against the former leaders of Twitter for censoring people based on political affiliation, since it was not clearly laid out in their rules or in their policy that they would do that. And now that we know that it was actually the case, right? It's not the case of you're agreeing to their terms and services, etc. It's no, this was something that was going on that they were not open about. They were not transparent about. We could see it happening, but again, we would only have speculation. Now that it's not speculation anymore, my question would be, okay, where do we go from here, basically? And as far as Elon Musk, doing everything with the Twitter Blue and, about the payments and stuff, ultimately, I think he's just trying to find a way to keep everything afloat. And I think that he's also trying to limit bots. And if there's anything we know that absolutely does have an impact on numbers of bots, it is having some type of paywall. And seeing that this is not a paywall to exist on Twitter, but rather to get picked up by the algorithm. The fact that now we have a public understanding of the algorithm, then I think that ultimately, I think that it's not. I'm not as negative or opposed to that because of those different reasons going on. It's not perfect, but I think that he's doing a lot of things right in this case.
Well, Elon is committed to releasing the entire source code on Twitter to make it so that the community can start recommending improvements and stuff like that. But Conspiracy Tom, it's in the name, conspiracy. What are your thoughts on these changes Elon's making to Twitter?
Well, I've been seeing a lot of stuff that Elon Musk is actually the Antichrist, so don't get too excited. I've watched several videos about it, so just be warned that he's charming you with his free speech things, and what really is happening is he's bringing upon the apocalypse. So there is that. That's the undercurrent right now. So just be wary. But I mean, and look, and anybody with half a brain that sits back and has watched the world over the past 10 years can very obviously say there is a weird skew in the world we live in, and it's just fun to watch a billionaire spend his fortune to prove it. It's been fun to watch. I mean, I got rid of my Instagram. I barely even have an online presence, period. But it is really fun to watch because it's unraveling people's reality, and nothing I love more than watching these people's hard, fast, I know this to be true things just unravel in front of them and then just scramble to try to rationalize it. It's really exciting. Yeah, it's really exciting.
All right. Brian from the Popcast, we know that you basically live your life on Twitter, and you have a crush on Elon Musk. You've put out various overtures towards him. So what's your take on him, our queer representation on the panel? You're muted, Brian.
I'm sorry. I had to take a moment there myself. I was so excited about Elon. I'm like, oh, I hit the mute button.
Shane does it all the time too. So,
yeah, it's all fair.
Okay.
So Elon to me is, he's autistic, number one, which makes him automatically fantastic, because his brain works different than the rest of us. But the whole blue check mark thing, I think, is hilarious because, whenever you try to make special people and you tell them, well, look, you're not special, they're going to fight back, And so everybody who's got a blue check mark now, and they're saying, well, look, anybody can get a blue check mark. Well, what did you expect was going to happen? But I think like Odin said earlier, they got to pay the bills, and Twitter was expensive to buy, and he's just trying to create a platform that works for everybody. So listen, as long as he's supporting free speech, I'm on his team. That's it. So that's what it's all about, in my opinion.
I do think it's interesting that he came out recently and said that Twitter is actually only worth $20 billion, which is like half as much as he paid for it.
Nice.
But I do think that he probably could have just created a subscription model without destroying the blue check mark, because what you're seeing now, like originally the blue check was meant to be verification, to say like you are the person you say you are. And I know that when I got my legacy blue check mark, I had to jump through.
Right. You might be offended by this.
I had to jump through a number of I had to jump through a number of hoops to prove that I was who I was. And so now you just need to pay your $8.
I just gave him my debit card number.
Yeah, exactly. there is no actual verification with a blue check mark now, and you actually see this infecting other big tech companies, where you got Facebook or Meta, who are now rolling out paid blue check marks for Instagram and or paid verification for Instagram and Facebook, and TikTok's going to be doing it too.
Yeah.
So,
well, he took away the class system. That's what he just did. He removed the class system on Twitter, and now the upper class people are freaking out. Sorry, Matt. Sorry.
Well, I do think that there's something to be said about like celebrities and public figures who would have people impersonate them on Twitter. And so to have that badge would let their followers know this is the real deal, So I do think that there could have been a better way to handle this, especially with verification. But I do want Twitter to succeed. I want Elon Musk to succeed. And so I finally purchased my Twitter Blue yesterday.
Ooh. Welcome
to
the.
I mean,
did it break that fancy wallet? Did it break it?
Yeah. oh no! It holds my diamond shoes and everything.
Indestructible.
Yeah, when you were describing it earlier, I had to ask. I was like, "So this would be John Wick's wallet?" It sounds like.
Yeah, it's bulletproof.
Kevlar.
Yeah, it's just like the suits they wear. It's made of the same material. Speaking of which, if you guys want to get your own extra wallet and you don't want to wait for the giveaway, you can go to shop.exter.com/thepopcast and type in the Popcast at checkout for the checkout code and get 25% off. It's a huge discount. So if you want to get your own wallet with all the bells and whistles and the fancy colors and stuff like that, go there, check it out, and support our sponsor, because they are taking a big leap of faith with us to pay us money to shill their fine wallets. So we appreciate that. Brian, do you have anything you want to say about extra wallets?
Yeah, I got to tell you, I was thinking, well, this is kind of dumb, right? When I first got my first extra wallet, I'm like, look, it's small. What are you going to do with it? And then it's got this little feature where you can hit a button and everything like pops up. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm sold. I'll take it. And it lasts forever. So get yourself an extra wallet. They're cool.
And also, just a reminder, if you want to be entered for the drawing for a free extra wallet, just type in #SaltySaturday in the chat, and you will be automatically entered. And at the end of this live stream today, we are going to be doing the winner announcement. So we will do the drawing at the end of the live stream. But in addition to that, we're going to have a big announcement at the end of this live stream. It has to do with the podcast and the Salty Nerd podcast.
Yes.
And it's going to be huge.
Huge. It's really big. Yeah.
Is it going to be bigger than an indictment? That's what I want to know.
Yes.
It's the biggest indictment you've ever seen.
It is no one's ever had it bigger.
No one else
no
gets
one's ever had it bigger.
Quite like this.
No.
It's a perfectly wonderful indictment.
Awesome.
Yes. So so check out our sponsor if you guys want to help support the show. And of course, we will always read your super chats when they come in. In fact, I believe we have one from Whiskey Jack right now. If we can call that up real quick. Whiskey Jack for £2. Wick 4, whatever. We need Butt Boy 2, Butts for Life. Yes.
I still need to watch Al's review of that because I'm
wrong
like,
with
what
you?
is this? I don't know what this is. I don't know whether I should be scared or.
Tom, so like Butt Boy is a hard-boiled crime thriller about a man who shoves people up his butt, and the cop who's dedicated to stopping him. Conspiracy Tom, when I tried to review this, because Jude got sick, she couldn't stay there for the review. When I tried to review this, Matt Bader and Alex ganged up on me, wouldn't let me talk about it.
Nope. No.
And
It was
so
amazing.
I feel like you, me, and Jude need to do a dedicated review to this movie for people who don't know about it.
Yeah.
Just so we can get it more exposure.
Maybe we could do a whole butt theme, and we could do that and Bad Milo. And I'll do some Google, and I'll see if we can find another butt-related movie we can do this.
Oh, do Ace Ventura because he talks out of his butt.
Solid. Ace Ventura.
Not having it. That was pretty funny.
Hold on, I'm going to ask you a few questions. No, Butt Boy was hilarious.
What's funny about Butt Boy is that it's not graphic. Like, you don't see people shoving stuff up their butts.
Well, I think the overall budget might have been $50,000, so they couldn't do a whole lot with it.
It was actually $150,000.
Was that really what it was? I totally believe that number.
Odin, do you need a sidekick? I can.
No,
Do you need a color guy?
Come on down. Asgard's always open.
If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. They take it so serious, and it's
very
it's a
serious.
horrible premise, and like they are acting their asses off in this movie.
literally. In fact, in the third act, they go into an alternate butt dimension.
Yeah, there's a button, and they're taking it seriously. Like, at no point, like there's a part where this dog is covered in poop because it escapes, and he's just sitting there petting it, and it's like dramatic, and it's not funny. It's like it's like Hamlet or something. They really mean it, man.
Yeah, they take the subject. So like it was a comedy troupe that came up with the concept of this like criminal who shoves stuff up his butt, and the cop has to stop him.
Oh, that's
and
brilliant.
they take the concept super seriously. Like there's no irony in this movie, none.
No, it's straight. It's straight up exactly. And then the detective is doing his best Robert De Niro the entire time.
Oh, he's just doing a bad Robert De Niro impression.
Yeah, it's just the face. I can't even do it. But he looks like De Niro from Heat the entire time. It's freaking hilarious.
I wish I had something to say. I just don't. Butt Boy, go watch it, everybody. Butt Boy on Tubi.
Tubi, okay.
That bastion of entertainment.
I have been going down the Tubi rabbit hole. There are so many terrible movies on Tubi.
There really are.
Oh my, and insane documentaries. I'm telling you, everything gets greenlit on Tubi. Everything.
We want to thank Gavin Blackburn for his $1.49 super sticker.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. So, guys, we got breaking news. We're actually breaking something this April 1st on the Salty Nerd Saturday podcast.
Oh, boy.
So it appears Doomcock heard our stream.
Oh, no.
And he wants to share a special message with us.
Wow. Awesome.
Serious.
Let's see this.
So let's play this.
That's not conspicuous at all.
Oh no.
Greetings, my friend. Victor von Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth. And I want to talk to you today about Star Trek Picard Season 3. I know I have repeated that the stench that new Trek has left on the Star Trek brand.
I don't know if the sound was shared correctly.
Faces. And this room is actually quite small, and it's really disgusting. But I have something very important to tell you today. I have spent many, many hours walking the lonely halls of my secret lair here at the center of the Earth, and I've had an epiphany. Friends, the light bulb has finally come on. This is hard to say, but I think the reason I am so angry, besides all the horrible television and movies rotting our society today, is that I am really fucking lonely. I mean, think about it. All I have are these damn puppets down here with me, and it's got so bad that I've gone full Mandalorian. I don't even take off my helmet when I'm alone. And I hate that show. Damn you, Kathleen Kennedy. Okay, I am getting off the subject. The point of this video is to let you all know that I have had a change of heart. While I am still furious at Star Trek, going back to an incident I had when I was a small child, and my overlord parents hired a Spock look-alike to come to my birthday party who looks eerily like Alex Kurtzman. I have to tell you, after really thinking about my actions, I realize I've been a little hard on people who are enjoying Picard Season 3, especially the Popcast guys. I didn't want to tell you all this, but as each episode of this season comes out, I am falling more in lower and lower in love with it. I know I complained about all the YouTubers shilling for Picard Season 3, but I have to be honest with you. I am guilty of the same shilling. Only I have not shilled Star Trek. I have been shilling to you. Even though I know Picard Season 3 is actually good, I haven't been able to say it out loud because I know that you all would stop believing in me, that you would think I was a pretender and that I didn't deeply believe in the things I say. The truth is, I don't want to be a shill. I absolutely love Picard Season 3. Now, I still hate Alex Kurtzman and what he has done to my beloved Star Trek, and I will never share with you what actually happened at that birthday party so long ago, but I wouldn't be the future ruler of Earth if I didn't tell you the truth. I love Picard Season 3. I was just afraid to look like a fraud in front of you all. I hope you can forgive me. Forget about this little blip in the road and continue to stay angry with me as we march into the future. And to Robert Meyer Burnett, who strongly challenged me, I only say this. You were right about Picard Season 3, but I have something to tell you. Robert, I am your father. Come to the dark side and let the hate run through your veins, and we will rule Earth together. Long live Picard Season 3, and happy April Fools. You fools.
What a big man he is.
Robert
That's
Meyer
amazing.
Burnett. I gotta say,
Yeah,
the
so,
mask got me for two reasons. One, because it reminded me of the. Have you ever seen the Twilight Zone? And it's the Halloween masks.
Yes.
Or like the Mardi Gras masks. Reminded me of that mask for one, painted gold, and then two, because of the black suit. All I could think of was, have you ever seen the pumpkin dude dancing? He has like the pumpkin face, and he's got the black spandex on, and he's like doing all these dancing. I couldn't help but unsee that.
Well, deep fakes are getting so good nowadays. I couldn't tell the difference between fake Doomcock and real Doomcock. What about
I
you?
can tell you, it was really big
I
of
think-
them to do that. So
I gotta go rebrand myself now.
you guys broke it on your show. It's amazing. Yeah, new video. Good
I
job.
know on April 1st, no less. I think
I had nothing to do with this. I'm just letting everybody know I had nothing to do with this.
Matt's like, don't attack me.
They popped this on me. I had no clue this was coming. And man, you guys, you're too
Well,
much.
if you guys, I'm sure you guys all know what's going on. So there's been a beef between Robert Meyer Burnett and Doomcock lately. So we said, what better way to spend April Fools than just making fun of the whole situation? So hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
I love the perfect quote for the moment from Mighty Orbots. Big gulps, huh? Yeah.
So I want to reiterate that we on the Salty Nerd podcast are fans of Doomcock. We love his channel. I actually think he has very, very good reviews about Kurtzman era Trek stuff. Like all of his points are salient. But the Popcast guys just wanted to have a little bit of fun, so we were like, okay, yeah, we can show it on.
Yeah, we align with Doomcock right up until Picard season 3, and so he started coming out with it how terrible it was going to be before it ever came out. So that's where the divergence is. But honestly, we pretty much align on all other Star Trek. So after this is over, everybody will align again. So hopefully, there's no long-term hurt feelings over it. It's just let's just be nerds like Odin said earlier. We can argue about it and then be friends again.
Yep.
Yes.
So real quick from Foxhound for £2. Doomcock going to steal Brian's Glock.
I don't know why he has that back there behind him. I keep asking, dude, can you move that thing? What are you doing?
Hey,
making a statement. Making a statement.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a water gun. I don't even know.
Speaking of Picard season 3, let's talk about the latest episode. The Bounty, I believe it was called. No, Dominion.
That was last week.
Dominion. So,
about the Dominion by chance?
Yes, exactly. Now, there are two people on this panel who do not watch Star Trek Picard season 3. So I want to give them the floor before we get into our take on it. So, Conspiracy Tom, why are you refusing to watch season 3 of Star Trek Picard?
Well, I tried watching it early on, right? And it just feels like they want me to remember how much I like Star Trek Next Generation, and this is why we have this show. It's all member berries to me, so it just bums me out. I don't like it. I don't like all the recycling. I don't like the, hey, remember this when you were a kid? Shit that Hollywood keeps throwing down my throat. So that's why I don't enjoy anything on TV anymore. It's all terrible. Everything sucks. Everything's salty.
Well, we are the Salty Nerd podcast.
It doesn't always have to be all salty all the time.
I'm very salty about it. Look, I love, Picard's my favorite. I mean, Kirk's whatever, but I really grew up watching Next Generation, and they're putting Riker in there, and Data shows up, and I'm like, oh great, this is a great show. And
it's Data lore for.
Look, it's fine. It's just not. I just don't want it. I don't know why they're making it. I like the Starfleet Academy. This sounds fun. I'm into this. I might watch this one.
All right, now you're just being stupid.
No, why not? You know what? If they do it right, then it could be really good. It's like I don't know. We'll see.
It's set in the Discovery era, 900 years in the future. It's the Tilly show.
Oh,
yeah.
Who's the showrunner?
Kurtzman.
Oh, well then.
He's co-show running it with a new person.
Well, is it going to be kids? What are the age groups? What are we talking here?
It's the college years, man.
Oh boy,
they have to be to go to the academy. You have to be minimum of 16 years old.
I'll tell you what,
or the equivalent of your species.
I'm going to go ahead and say if they do it like Revenge of the Nerds, I'm all in. Because I rewatched Revenge of the Nerds recently, and it holds up, man. That shit is hilarious. And if I could see like a slapsticky police academy or some sort of version of Star Trek, I think I would really enjoy that. So
as long as they have a band and they play at the end.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, they have to win the talent competition with the big.
And they need someone.
Big show.
Clap your hands, everybody.
He was just gay. He wasn't even a nerd. That's why. Oh man, it's a great movie. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't. It isn't doing what I want. I mean, Mandalorian's the same thing. It isn't doing what I want it to do, and it's just a bummer. After it just keeps going. It's a bummer. So that's how I feel about it.
You can't say it's a bummer because you haven't seen it.
I got sick of watching Picard season 1. I'm not into it. I don't care. I don't care.
I get it.
This
That's
old
fine.
man.
You know what you are?
What?
You're a never trekker.
I love Trek. I love Chris
You're a never
Pine.
trekker.
No, I love Trek. I love Trek more than Star Wars.
Hashtag never trekker.
Whatever.
Don't even want to give it a chance.
What? No, I did. I
at least watch the crap before I say it's crap.
I'm not saying it's crap. I said I don't want it. You know, it's like when somebody puts like a plate of steaming cauliflower in front of you.
Yeah.
You don't want it. You don't want it.
Well, Picard season 3 put cheese on that cauliflower.
This is cheesy cauliflower. That's exactly what I was going to say. That's funny.
You said Dominion's in it, so that actually sounds kind of cool. But I don't know. You guys sway me. Let me hear some positive vibes on this one.
Well, before we get positive, let's throw it to Odin. He still refuses to watch Picard season 3. So I want to hear, Odin, you've been hearing all the good stuff about this. Why are you so dead set against it?
Well, I feel like a broken record sometimes, but it's probably because my only knowledge of Trek is DS9, and I have not watched any of the other Treks. I've seen the first 2 movies, like of the original movies with the original cast, and I've seen DS9, and I love DS9, and I might eventually watch more Trek, but I just don't have it. But I will say this much: I'm definitely not like Mr. Lincoln Project over here. This anti. Never trekker.
Never trekker.
Lincoln Project.
Way to run faster than the other guy so the bear gets him. Nice. Well love that.
All right. So this episode was a little bit of a change up in terms of action and like that. But I feel like it was a necessary setup going into the final 3 episodes of the season, which is technically the 3rd act of this 10-hour movie. A lot of interesting stuff happened in this episode. A lot of stuff was set up. We got Vadic's backstory. Is that the name, Vadic?
Vadic,
yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. We got Vadic's backstory. We've learned that basically Liam Neeson possesses Jack Crusher at certain points as he goes throughout his day to basically kick butt and take over people's minds. So it's obviously not that weird syndrome that Picard had. It's something a little bit more, and we're teased at the very end that we're going to learn all about Jack Crusher's thing. No Rafi in this episode, which instantly makes it better. But also no Riker or Deanna Troi, so we're still a little bit kind of like in limbo about that little plot. But the thing that got me most about this episode was the reveal about these guys stealing Picard's body. And the kind of theory behind this, which is like, oh, we're going to make a super clone of Picard to go to was it Fleet Week or I forget what they call the celebration that they're doing. But so like Picard's supposed to give a speech at Frontier Day.
How many times has Picard been cloned?
Only once so far.
Once, other than this, because I distinctly remember this.
They haven't cloned him yet. They just stole his body. But they're saying that they need some type of DNA to make a clone. So like that's why they're trying to get Jack. And
that's what Picard said. Yeah,
that's what they're theorizing.
Yes,
but I'm like, number one, wouldn't it just been easier for shape changers to go to Chateau Picard and like swipe some DNA,
get some
Picard himself?
Just steal his toothbrush.
Yeah, that's true.
Some hair follicles.
Something.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
that's a good nitpick, Matthew. I'm totally with you on that one.
Like they wouldn't have had to have chased down Jack Crusher anywhere or anything like that. They could have just gone to Chateau Picard.
I think I think they need some of those yummy Borg hybrid Jack nanite things that assimilate people. That he doesn't know that he has in them to animate the Locutus. The Locutus corpse.
All they need to do is swab Laris's vagina, and they have all the DNA Picard that they need.
Oh my god!
Wow, dude!
That was
man.
harsh.
That was awful.
Yeah, it's like the lunchtime, bro.
What are you faking?
Man.
In addition to that, okay, so Picard mentions in the episode that his DNA has to be verified before he can go and give a speech to Frontier Day. But here's the thing. I'm like, couldn't these shape changers just become like engineers and fake the DNA stuff in the computer system so that they could get their shape changer who looks just like Picard in there to do whatever it is they need him to do?
Yeah,
so
maybe his theory's wrong.
Why do you?
I'm leaning towards that. I hope that that's the thing, because when they kind of floated this theory, I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me. But I do like that we got some backstory on who these new souped up Dominion people are, and some of the moral quandaries that Beverly and Picard were kind of like struggling with in this episode. But Matt Vader, I want to hear your thoughts on Dominion.
I mean, you just ruined it for me because your takes are terrible. Honestly, this episode was what I call almost a filler episode. It was just all kind of exposition dump, and like you said, it needed to be done. We needed to know where these changelings on this ship came from. Turns out they're all lab specimens. Somebody gooped them out into a specimen jar, and Section 31 scientists did some nasty, terrible things to him. I'd be upset too if I had butane torches cutting pieces off me all the time. Yeah, I totally get it, and I found it kind of interesting. And I thought the lady who played Vadic, I thought she was very good this week. That being said, I'm ready for next week. I want to see some more action. I want to know the Jack Crusher question, and they left us on a really gnarly cliffhanger with that, because it better come with the in the first act of next week's episode. That's what I want to see, and there's got to be some Borg stuff involved with him. There has to be, because he's hearing voices that sound like the Borg collective in his head to me. That's what I'm getting out of this. But yeah, and I do like the LaCrush thing that's happening. The LaForge, Sydney LaForge and Jack. I think that would be kind of a fun thing to explore. I'm not usually into, the whole shipping thing, but I think they're setting this up in a good way, and I think it makes sense. They're in the right age group and right together, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, I don't know what else to really to say about this episode other than it was a good filler episode that gave us some background information. So I'm ready for next week.
So Brian, we got the return of Tuvok in this episode,
right?
As well as we got a lot of lore in this episode in terms of like Data's evil twin. What can you tell us about this? So like, it was a big surprise to see Tim Russ suddenly appear at the beginning of this episode. Yet again, Terry Matalas did a great job of keeping kind of like the secrecy alive for this type of thing. What did you think when you first saw Tuvok appear on screen?
Well, let me, number one, I love Voyager, so seeing Tuvok was great. I'm not a huge Tim Russ fan personally, but I love Tuvok, and he's always, he was really the second Vulcan ever to be a weekly player for a TV show in Star Trek. So you had Leonard Nimoy was the first one, and really Tuvok was your second Vulcan. So that's cool, and he did a really great job as that. But I just want to go back to reiterate something. If you're not enjoying Picard season 3, or you're like, wow, I don't get why everybody's so crazy about it, I think one of the things you need to take into consideration is that you really have to be a big TNG fan, and you have to really love the characters to have this this overwhelming feeling that we're all having about this season of Picard. So if you really love, Jean-Luc Picard, and you love Worf and Riker and all these characters, then and you're an older person, then you've been through these life experiences that they've been through, and this is like talking to you. Now, if you're not,
also after the first 2 seasons took a big shit on us,
right? Well, yeah, that's a good point.
Like we were coming to this season like battered wives, right?
Yeah,
right.
Oh my God!
But see, that's the argument that a lot of people, like we were donning our white tank tops, right, and we were getting our butts kicked or whatever. But the thing is when we got to Picard season 3, the argument is as well, listen, you had 2 really bad seasons. This is just another bad season that's a little better, and you guys are just victims. And so you can't help but to love it. But the reality is it's not true at all. if you love TNG, you will love this show. No joke. Now, as a fan of as Odin says, as a fan of DS9, there's enough elements of DS9 in here that I think will intrigue you. Even if you're not in love with the TNG cast, I think you'll enjoy, that we're exploring the Dominion and the Changelings and some things. So I think you would enjoy it. But you got to go at it from that angle. So, if it's not a coming to Jesus moment for you, then perhaps you just weren't that big of a fan of those characters, because this season is really about those characters. And so I would just say would explain the people who love it, the people who like it, the people who don't like it, I think.
Let me ask this question. So when these people when the Never Trekkers, some of them do come on board, they're going to be able to basically binge the whole thing.
Right.
Will that be a better experience for some of these people like Tom, who will have the opportunity to do that?
That was exactly what I was going to say. Do I need to watch the other two? Because if this one's actually worth watching, don't even bother with the other two and just
the other two seasons. You don't have to watch the other two seasons at all.
Yeah, don't watch them. In fact, and then Tom has an open mind, so no problem. He's going to probably watch it and go, "Wow, this is really good." The problem is there's people out there who who already wanted to hate it from the beginning, and and I get the idea that
was me.
God, that was me. Well, but you had an open mind. You have an open mind, but there are some people that refuse, like the Never Trekkers, who won't like Trek because they don't want Alex Kurtzman to get credit. What people don't understand about Alex Kurtzman is that there's no guarantee that they're going to hire somebody else. We've had Alex Kurtzman for 7 years now, and so far they haven't fired him, guys. So it's like, we need to celebrate what is good about Star Trek so that they get the message like, hey, okay, wait, the fans like this. Let's make more of this. Right. It doesn't matter who's sitting in the chair. For the most part, Alex isn't really making much Star Trek anyways. He lets his showrunners pretty much do all the work and come up with the ideas and do all. He's really just a manager. So we can be mad at him because he is the guy who's made the decisions and he screwed up a lot of stuff. But there's no saying they're not just going to hire some other guy that's just as bad as him. So we have to continue to celebrate. Like when you get somebody like Terry Matalas, who's obviously understands Trek. I mean, he's one of us. Like essentially, when it comes to the fandom, he understands Trek inside and out. He understands what the fans want to see. So he's providing that to us. But, people are going to latch onto this thing like, oh, it doesn't look like it did in the 80s, like with the lit scenes and there was, no emotion, and you kind of go through each episode. I mean, TV's come a long ways in 30 some odd years, and things are a little different. The narratives are taught differently. This is more like a 10 episode movie. That's how you have to look at this. Not really like a typical TV show where it's like a season. You got to look at this as a movie being broken up, like a mini series over 10 episodes. If you look at it like that. So Tom, when you see it at the end, after everything's done and you go back and watch it, we'll be really curious to hear what you think about it, because if you look at it in that respect, I think you get a different perspective.
I mean, that is the most compelling argument I've ever heard for anything. So, I'll wait it out. The DS9 stuff, I like it. And we got Voyager stuff too. So, maybe we're peppering in some. Okay, maybe it will be fun. All right, convincing. All right. I'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Right. So I want to ask Brian one more thing before we move on to our next topic, which is so there's a part in this episode where the Titan crew basically trap all the changelings and Vadic, and they make a note, Picard to Crusher, about how Vadic seems too confident, like she knows something that they don't. And at this time, Geordi's kind of facing down with Lore, who's somehow used his connection to the ship or to the computer that they were using to diagnose him to take over the ship. And Lore's basically locked everyone out of the computer systems, and he's putting Geordi's daughter in jeopardy and all this other stuff. And Lore says, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And it was kind of implied that that the changelings and Lore had some type of like alliance going on. But at the same time, you could also read it like it was just happenstance. So like, why would Lore's taking over of the ship and freeing and taking down all the force fields to free the changelings be something that Vatic knew would happen, which would give her confidence to just like wait it out and plan her attack. And also, can anyone just walk onto a bridge and say, "I'm the captain now," and the computer just instantly starts obeying them?
Look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now.
I'm the captain now.
I think it's all in her head. She actually, I think somebody else opened up the line of communication for her to talk to the crew under gunpoint, under phaser point. I think I'm not sure how much I want to say because I don't want to give away too much, but there's two options here. I think there's an option that somehow Data and the Changelings are working together, right? And I think there's also the fact that Vatic doesn't give a shit about anything because essentially, she either completes this mission or she's dead. So I think that would create a certain amount of confidence in a person, a lack of fear, let's say. If your life's pretty much over, she's got this the tri-tip talking to her, the hand tri-tip, whatever it is, boss, talk to the hand, basically telling her she's worthless.
Tom's all, huh?
Tri-tip?
It's you guys got to see
piece
it. It's
of
hilarious.
beef?
It looks like a tri-tip that's been that the fat hasn't been rendered off of, cut off of it yet.
What?
It makes me hungry every time I want to barbecue. It's like a really interesting, but it's also disgusting. So it's really weird. So I think that there's two different ways to look at that. And I think part of it is that Vatic is just ultra confident that things are going to go down the way she wants it to go down, or it could be that Data is somehow involved. Although Data, I think, gave you some information when he said, let's even the playing field. And he talked about everybody trying to, this is all about survival for all three, for lore, also for the crew of the Titan, and also for the Changelings. It's all about survival. So I guess, maybe next episode will be a little more enlightening.
Okay, interesting. So we got a super chat from the Popcast for $5. Something's off. Did Brian change his hair and get an education? Well, it is April Fool's, so you never know. Brian could just be acting like he's smart, which he does quite often.
Yeah, well,
I think Brian is doing a great job this week. Probably should have Brian on more often.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Brian is actually much smarter than he allows people to know. The guy is a savant in every good way.
Yes,
so.
and he likes to talk about himself in the third person, apparently.
Yeah.
So.
Hey guys, hashtag Salty Saturday in the chat. It's a free thing that we're giving away. It's not hard to do. Just type it Salty Saturday with the hashtag attached to it, and that's all you got to do. So super, super easy.
Yep,
just letting you know.
Super easy.
Win that wallet.
All right, guys. So we talked about Picard, but let's talk about the new Starfleet in town, which is Starfleet Academy, aka Saved by the Trek: The College Years.
Oh man!
So this was announced yesterday, I believe, and this is the Variety article announcing it. And basically, this is the brand new series that's set to take over when Discovery goes off the air. And this has been rumored for a while, and it's basically about cadets in Starfleet Academy getting into shenanigans and doing Starfleet Academy stuff like the Kobayashi Maru and all the stuff Kurtzman can steal from better episodes of Star Trek. And the big thing about this announcement was that the outcry of the Never Trekkers was that support of Star Trek Picard Season 3 allowed Kurtzman to create a brand new show and get his contract extended and all this other stuff. And then you have the opposite side that says, Kurtzman's been under contract until 2026. This thing has been in the works for months, and they're just now finalizing it because Discovery is going away. So I wanted to get everyone's take on this. Odin, let's start with you. What's your take on, number one, the show, but number two, the controversy surrounding it?
Yeah, everything I've heard about the show so far just doesn't really appeal to me at all. I personally don't really, have as much investment within the Trek universe to care about seeing some type of origins of, where things happen and everything about the actual the Academy itself. I don't know. It doesn't appeal to me. But to, even though I have not been watching Picard itself, especially for the, season 3, I do think it's a little silly to hear the Never Trekkers try to say the only reason why this is happening is because of the fact that people are watching Picard or speaking highly of Picard. But I mean, I personally haven't seen any of the ratings or any of the hours for the show or not. does anyone actually know how much of a difference between the previous seasons is this one doing in comparison?
A lot. It's the other.
It is doing
I
a
think
lot.
It was
Okay.
23% audience in the first season and like 88% audience in this season. Yeah. And
Okay. So we have
critic.
seen a significant improvement.
Yeah.
But then also to remember too that the people who are on YouTube who are speaking about it positively do not make up the bulk. I mean, I think that's also it comes down to sometimes, you know, I know that I've fallen into this trap myself. We think that we're bigger than what we are in certain respects.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can see why a lot of people who are looking at this, who are basically never trekking it, would look at this and would say, oh, well, it's only because of you people who are watching this, you know, group of, 10 to 12 people who are positively saying things about it, that, you have all of this huge, like, as you just said, huge increase in audience. But that just that's not really how it works. I'm sure that you could definitely say that there are definitely a lot of people, maybe even in the thousands of people who otherwise would not have watched it, but that's not enough to move the needle in that direction. So to say that somehow the support of Picard season 3 is going to lead to more really bad Trek, it was actually most likely going to be, if anything, it should be pushing towards the opposite, because the only reason why people are watching this is because it's a lot more like old Trek than the more recent stuff.
Well said.
So real quick, we got a super chat from Astro Nerd Boy for $5. They want Starfleet Academy to be the Star Trek version of Hogwarts.
Ugh.
And Foxhound,
but with diversity.
Yes, as Foxhound says, for £2. Thank God it's diverse. Yay!
Yes, that's what I was leading at. Yes, we're gonna have one
Tom,
of. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what are your thoughts on this diverse young cast made for modern audiences?
Well, you know what? Okay, so I'm still leaning towards a Police Academy-esque or Revenge of the Nerds-esque season. Is really what I'm hoping for. But I mean, honestly, Aliens is your perfect opportunity for diversity. You can put one of anything in there; it doesn't matter. I know you guys watch Orville. And they have like these like weird asexual characters and weird trans things, and you can kind of get away with it because it's aliens. So
right.
It's a whole new culture, a whole new world. So they can go to different worlds and different experiences and see different things. And the universe lends itself to diversity. So, it just depends on how they take it. Are they going to cram it down my throat, or are they going to let me ease into it?
Well, that's the whole thing with the Kurtzman
yeah.
shows, like Discovery, is they don't ease into anything.
Yeah,
there's no lube being used with the diversity in the Kurtzman shows. Okay, it's just full on in your face. Yeah, it's crazy. This show will probably be populated by a trans Orion and just anything else that they can like make even weirder, they're going to do. So, no, I don't know. I find it kind of funny because there's people like me out there who love this Picard thing, and I like this Picard thing because it's a Next Generation show. And then when he announced this show, and especially the timeline it was set in with Tilly, and it's 900 years in the future, and they're rebuilding Starfleet is what the show's going to be about, right? I immediately went into my old salty cave and started mining the salt again. It's like, because I had no interest in this. I was like, no, why are they doing this to me? I was like, I don't want to watch this show. I want to watch Legacy. I want Shaw and Seven. I want Jack and Sydney. I want the Titan. I don't want Tilly and her crappy, weird students. I don't. It's just I'm not into it. Yeah, I have no desire to watch the show, and I think and I'm gonna feel that way. And it'll probably come out and it'll be fantastic, and I'll have to eat a bunch of turd sandwiches. So whatever. It is what it is, I guess. So, but that's where I'm at right now. I don't want to watch this show. I don't want a CW 90210 Star Trek show. I want space exploration. I want the Titan. I want a ship-based, crew-based with a cool captain show. That's what Star Trek is to me. Not Star Trek 90210. No thanks. I'm out. So
real quick, we got a super chat from Whiskey Jack for £2. Another coming of age show. Yee, move forward.
Yeah.
So Brian, does Starfleet Academy getting made mean that Star Trek Legacy is dead in the water? Are we not getting another Terry Matalas Star Trek show because of this?
It doesn't mean it's dead in the water, no, because Starfleet Academy has been planned for a long time. In fact, we haven't really talked. We've talked about this a little bit on our channel, but Starfleet Academy was fought over. Actually, Star Trek 4 had a script for Starfleet Academy. That was going to be Star Trek 4. Was a return to Starfleet Academy, but the streaming service and Alex Kurtzman won the fight over getting the Starfleet Academy show. So that's one of the reasons why Star Trek 4 got pushed, actually. So they had a script get blown up by the streaming service. So this has been in the works for a really long time. And the fact that it's coming out now, I mean, look, think about it this way. You got Discovery that was just canceled, right? So they are not going to lose that fan base. So we knew that they were lining up something to follow up Discovery all this time. And so as soon as you started to see in season 4, those Tilly episodes where they're at the Starfleet, there's the new Starfleet Academy. You're like, this lines up with all the stuff they were talking about previously. So we knew it was coming in that sense. We got the confirmation around Star Trek Day that it was absolutely happening. Legacy Trek can still happen and go forward, because what's going to happen is, I think once episode 10, there's still a lot of people on the fence thinking, wait a second, they're going to rug pull us before we get to the final episode of Star Trek Picard season 3, because the first 2 seasons we got rug pulled, right? It didn't turn out good. So people are still holding back a little bit, but I think once the 10th episode comes out, I think true Star Trek fans are going to be like, oh shit, that was so good, we got to have more of this. And I think you're going to see this upwelling of people are going to be a lot more vocal, I think, when that happens. And you're going to see a lot more pressure put on Alex Kurtzman and Paramount, because of the simple fact, look what happened when Pike came around in the first 2 seasons of Discovery, right? So during season 2 of Discovery, people were like, oh shit, we need this guy on a ship doing stuff, right? And so they were loud. And so when Comic-Con comes around again this year, this summer, they're going to be talking about Picard season 3, and that's going to be a bug in the ear. So I think there's definitely a chance. There's also a limited series they're getting ready to do that's going to be coming up here pretty soon. That's in the works, and it's not a for sure thing, but that will probably have a couple of legacy characters. And I'm not going to say Captain Janeway, but I might say Captain Janeway. So there's going to be something coming for sure. Now, is Terry going to get it? I don't know. Right now, he's got nothing. So they have not offered him anything. Nothing's happened. And that's part of the reason why we're pushing so hard, because I mean, like, if this guy gets picked up somewhere else, after everything he's done, he's like successful at everything he's created. He's going to go do something else, and then he's gone. Then we can't get him back into Trek. So they need to act now, lock in something, and get him moving. There's no reason he can't do this limited series that they're talking about doing with a couple of legacy characters. He can do that. They don't need to bring in somebody else. So that's kind of where we're at with the whole thing.
All right. So speaking of disappointing franchises, let's talk about The Mandalorian episode 5, The Pirate. God. Vader, Avast, let loose your salt.
Let loose my salt? Well, the best part of the show was when Captain Keltbeard took a nosedive into the lava pit. That was kind of neat. But look, I wasn't really prepared to talk about this quite. You never go to me first. Captain Keltbeard and his boys. Yeah, that was fun. I don't know, man. This show it's not good. It's crap. It's
once Disney gets its hooks, right? Once Disney gets its hooks, it just becomes ugly,
right?
Man.
Everything at Star Trek Picard is, the Mandalorian isn't. I'm just not into the way that they're doing this. I mean, yeah, the ship battles and everything were cool, but I'm just not intrigued by these characters. I'm not interested. And Star Wars is just in a terrible, terrible place. And I don't know. I feel like I go to Awake every week on Wednesday night at midnight and watch it just get a little bit worse and worse and worse and worse. So, but hey, we got Zeb this week. I did like that. I do like the fact that they're setting up some kind of weird Star Wars Rebels reunion, because that was actually a better show than this. Those characters have some history and they're fun. And I've always had kind of wondered what a live action Zeb character would look like. And I think they pulled it off pretty well. So we get Hera and Sabine and the rest and Chopper all in one space, and they can go find Ezra, and we can just have a live action Rebels show. Forget the Mandalorian. This is have a live action Rebels show. I would like that more. I would like that a lot more, to be perfectly honest, because this show has turned into the Bo-Katan show, and it's not the Mandalorian anymore. And I don't really care what happens to Baby Yoda either. So he's just a Muppet. He's literally a Muppet now that they throw around and flip around and make little gargly, googly, stupid noises with. Boop, 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 with his wrist rocket. It's dumb. I'm done. It's just dumb.
It's dumb.
It's dumb.
It is dumb. It's annoying. Yeah.
So this episode, all the episodes have been written by Jon Favreau, and so my opinion of him as a writer is steadily going down.
I think he's checked out.
Comes out. It feels like it. It feels like it. Like you have a whole scene where this guy goes to Coruscant, and Tim Meadows is the ineffectual bureaucrat. And he looks like he's just doing a Saturday Night Live sketch while he's on there. And of course we got the return of Lieutenant Biscuits, who was there, and then an inexplicable thing where like the I forget his name, but the TIE fighter pilot, the Ranger, he I guess like had a relationship with the R5 droid that Mando picked up, and so he knew how to find the super secret Mandalorian coven, and then the Mandalorians. And then the Mandalorians go and basically get their plot of land on Navarro. And right after that, the armorer, who's like the matriarch of the Mandalorian cult, basically says like, oh, that whole thing where like you have to keep your helmet on all the time. Bo-Katan, you get special dispensation. Like you can take it off and put it on. You're fine. And you can walk in both worlds, and I'm just like, I'm like, what is happening?
Well, that's because she told her a story about the mythosaur.
Yeah.
So
but I mean, like, it goes against like everything they've set up for the past 2.5 seasons, and there's only 8 episodes in this season. We're already in episode 5, and it doesn't feel like anything's fucking happened. Brian from the Popcast, what's your take on this episode?
Well, I caught up last night since I knew that I would be attending this today, and I haven't wanted to talk about The Mandalorian because after the first episode, I was just sickened at the targeting that they had. It was a kids targeted show, with all the Muppets running around and the stupid like Yoda hugging the little dudes in the very first episode, and then the pirate, Jabba the Pizza the Hut pirate guy in green, whatever,
Captain Keltbeard.
Yeah, it was dumb. So then I'm like, okay, well, I'll watch it. So then I started watching episode, 2, okay, whatever, and then episode 3 of The Comfort, and I'm like, did we stop watching The Mandalorian? What happened? So now we go to this whole story about the Empire, and like, and now we get Jar Jar Binks back in the next episode, like the guy who voiced him, right, plays the Jedi that saves Grogu, right? And then now this episode, it's like it's just all over the place. It's like Dave. It's like, listen, Jon Favreau, we love you, man. What the hell are you doing? Like, you're all over the place. It doesn't make any sense. And now we get an episode here where Bo-Katan, and that was it for me. Like when she's allowed to take off her helmet, and this wacky cult leading lady has been like hardcore. I mean, Din Djarin was out, right? He took off his helmet one time and he's done, right? But no, it's okay. Bo-Katan can now have her helmet off. So just pick a lane, figure it out. And I'm just not impressed with, and I love the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. So, and Mandalorian 2.5, which was known as Boba Fett. So I dug it all, but this season's really something's off. Something's wrong.
Yeah, Vader, you've actually been saying that the Bad Batch is far superior.
The Bad Batch is a way better show. I had an emotional moment with the Bad Batch this week that I could not believe. I think my hormones are off because I'm crying about way too much stuff lately. It is unbelievable. I got to go to the doctor and start getting some
too much soy.
I need some testosterone shots or something because there's something wrong with me. I don't know what's going on. my titties are growing or something, man. I don't know what's happening.
It's that home brewed ice brew.
Yes, it's instant cold brew. I don't know what it is, but no, the Bad Batch. Listen, I think Filoni's putting all his actual effort into that show, because while it did have its episodes like any of the animated shows do that are filler and kind of off, the episodes that are the main storyline driven with the cloning facility and them looking for who's the sniper guy? I forget his name. Anyway, the sniper guy, they're deep. There is a hardcore story going on there, and it's all related to the Emperor and his cloning facilities and what's going on there. They're filling in some gaps, and it's really wild. And they're not sparing people. It's an emotional ride. People die in the Bad Batch, and it's a crazy ride. It's something that they haven't done in the Mandalorian. And I know there's some gimmicky stuff going on in the Bad Batch too, but man, it's just a way better show. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just it's worth a watch if you have the time to do it, because it's a good story. It's a really good story. So I mean, I don't know. That's all I got. That's all I have to say. So worth watching.
Conspiracy Tom, you've long maintained that there's only one good Star Wars movie, and you've refused to watch season 3 of Mandalorian simply because there is no good Star Wars other than Empire Strikes Back. So what's your take on this? Like with the steady decline in quality from season 1 to season 3, and with the Acolyte being the next thing on the block, and them not being able to get their movies together. What's going on with Star Wars, in your opinion?
Okay, so you misquoted me. I didn't say the only good. It's the one that we all agree on. The only one that everybody agrees on is, even my father, who does not care, thinks that Empire Strikes Back is a good movie. It's just okay. So Disney is cramming too much stuff in, right? With the Marvel shows, with the Disney shows, and it's just like somebody told them they have to create all this content all the time, and nobody really cares or is overseeing anything. It used to feel like somebody was holding the reins, and now it just feels like all the horses are running in any direction they want, and it just keeps sliding down to just worse content. Even if it starts decent, it flounders and falls apart. It's just showing across the board. I don't know if it's just the writers that they employ or what. I know Favreau is not writing all of this. There's no way. And if he is, he's cashed it all in.
He's using Chat GPT.
It's possible. I watched a whole South Park episode the other day that they wrote with Chat GPT. It's a thing, and I don't know, man. It feels like people are writing this. What is it? I heard a quote on the Cleveland Show one time. You guys remember the Cleveland Show? It was a show written for Black people by white people, and it's how I feel about Star Wars. It's how I feel about Marvel. I don't know who's writing this crap, but I don't know who's writing this crap, and it just keeps getting worse, and it's a snowball, and it just keeps getting uglier, and my childhood is burning in front of my eyes. I swear to God, if they get the rights to He-Man and ruin He-Man for me,
it's already happened.
It's already happened.
No, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. That was the Tila show. Oh, I saw that, and it was also depressing. So yeah, they're trying to ruin my entire childhood. I don't know who is supporting this other than odd 15-year-olds that watch way too much anime and think K-pop's good music. That's what I feel like it is. It sucks.
Shots fired.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's good.
So Odin, one of the interesting things that we've been seeing is that the fan community, the Star Wars fan community, has been taking these awful shows like Obi-Wan Kenobi and re-editing them, doing new special effects, and actually deep faking the actors' voices and faces to get better performances in the shows. And the fans are making better Star Wars than the actual people who are charged with making Star Wars. In fact, we've got numerous people who, when a new episode of The Mandalorian is released, they re-edit the episode to make it shorter and better than it currently is. And they're only 20-minute episodes to begin with. What's your take on the current state of Star Wars? Can anything be done to save this franchise? Because it just feels like it's actually dying at this point.
Not unless they completely clean house. I mean, that's the only way that you're ever going to get any type of return or any type of rise, for this franchise. Because as long as Kathleen Kennedy is around, and based on what we're seeing, as long as Favreau and these others are around, we're just going to continue to get the same crap. Because I don't know if I was on for the episode that originally featured, the return of Captain Biscuits, but or General Biscuits, whatever it is we're going to call
Lieutenant Biscuits.
Lieutenant Biscuits. So that was the episode where I was like, when I was done with it, I was like, I'm okay, I'm out. I haven't actually watched it since. So I did not watch the recent episode. I didn't watch last week's episode because I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, I could watch it. So I might be able to talk about it at some point. But then I thought there's so many other things that I could do with my time that would be much better. And I just don't care about the show anymore. It's gotten to the point where once I realized how much, because that episode I think was the longest episode up to that point of The Mandalorian, at least for the season, and the vast majority of it didn't even feature Mandalorian, and what it did feature were just things I did not care about, characters I did not care about, and just again, no heart, no emotion whatsoever. So yeah, I'm basically, unless they're like, the only thing I can think of off the top of my head would be that everything gets put back into the hands of of George Lucas, but even that has its own, potential risk factors as well. So
we got a Jar Jar Binks army when we did that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. And so I think ultimately, unless and until it's either out of Disney's hands completely, or at the very least they just clean house with all of their leadership, then yeah, I don't think it's coming back anytime soon.
I got a question. What is J.J. Abrams doing? Because
hopefully
he's counting his money.
But he keeps getting his fingers in things, and it always seems promising, and then he just goes away. So what is J.J. Abrams doing?
That's his MO. That's how it
Is that
works.
what it is?
Yeah. So he always does. He starts something. He's an idea guy. Like he gets things going, and then he bails. And
gets his money and then leaves.
Yeah, he wants to do so many different things. And I also think he doesn't know how to finish things. If you go back to just everything he's done, he's never put a cap on anything good. He can't finish a story. And I think he's afraid to.
Lost didn't have a solid ending for you.
I don't know what happened there. That was weird. Waste of several years of life.
God, and it was years of our lives. It was years of our lives. We had to watch that shit live, man.
Damn you, J.J. Abrams. Yeah.
So guys, this episode of The Mandalorian ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. So the New Republic Ranger who went to see Tim Meadows and the Mandalorians and then fucked off, he comes across a derelict Lambda shuttle and discovers that this was the thing that was transporting Moff Gideon to his trial. And he determines that Moff Gideon has escaped. He's still alive. And apparently no one in the New Republic knew or cared about this. They find traces of Beskar in the shuttle.
Oh no.
And so his partner's like, did the Mandalorians steal Moff Gideon? And I'm like, wait a minute. Didn't the Empire have like a shit ton of Beskar in season 1? The Mandalorians don't have like the market cornered on Beskar. So I wanted to know, Vader, Brian, since you guys are the ones who watched this episode, what was your take on that big cliffhanger ending?
I was immediately taken that they didn't know that Moff Gideon had been taken. It's like he's kind of late for his appointment, right? I mean, why is it a surprise that he had been abducted from his shuttle? I don't understand. It's just one of those things, man. It's like oh, he didn't show up. He must have escaped. So yeah, I don't know. And I think isn't there some bands of Mandalorians out there who aren't in line that are kind of like pro Empire? I seem to recall that there was somebody or something somewhere that could have left the Beskar armor there. I don't know. So it just seems like a weird thing how they came across the shuttle and were surprised at what they found. It's like, yep, he escaped. He wasn't where he was supposed to be a couple days ago. So something weird happened, right? So
well, it wasn't just days ago; it was like months ago.
Well, whatever.
Apparently.
Yeah.
the timeline for this show is so all over the place. Like I have no idea how much time has passed.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole thing where he said that Grogu spent 2 years with Luke. When did that happen? It's the goofiest thing. That this show is all over the place. So,
Brian, are we getting the return of Moff Gideon, or are we finally starting to see the threads of Thrawn pop up in here?
Anything can happen apparently in this show. So yeah, I mean, they're obviously leading to Moff Gideon. I think he's probably the female leader of the Mandalorians. Like she'll take off her helmet at some point and it'll be Moff Gideon. I don't know. It's weird, dude. I mean, it's just, Star Wars fans are all over the place. Like what is good Star Wars anymore? Like we don't know. So much weird Star Wars has happened over the years. Like what made Star Wars good in the first place? I think we've lost our way. You know what I mean? Like it was, episode 4 and then it was Empire Strikes Back. And I mean, honestly, that was probably the last great Star Wars we had, right?
I would have no problem stating that there is more bad Star Wars out there than good.
Yeah. So I don't know what would make it good. I mean, how
slow
do you stay
down.
true to characters,
Slow down.
That's true. Yeah.
They're pumping out so much shit, and it's shit.
Yeah.
Like Grogu's stupid. He doesn't even do anything. Like
that's true.
It's not even
like
a baby.
when is he going to be a cool Yoda, right?
And when are they going to stop making him a baby? Like, can he talk? Please God, just something. It's just so. And like you said, years are going by, and this little idiot 60-year-old can't figure out how to put a sentence together. And
I think I can explain why they're doing this. So they are selling a whole lot of merch.
They want money. Yeah, it's money.
And I think also once you get to a certain place, like when Mandalorian season 1 came out, I don't think they realized how big of a hit it was going to be. Like it became a cultural phenomenon in a way.
Mm-hmm.
When did Luke Skywalker show up? When did that happen?
Episode 2 or season 2.
Because that shit was awesome, and they should have just stopped.
Was good.
They should have just stopped right there.
That would have been a great ending. But the reason why the Mandalorian is acting, maybe the reason why season 3 is the way it is I think they panic in some way and say, oh my God, we're like an icon now of Star Wars. We have a responsibility, so we need to appeal to everyone. And I think when you try to appeal to everyone, you lose something, and then you have to make sacrifices, and all of a sudden you're making you're making changes that you necessarily aren't good for the franchise in order to appeal to everyone. And that's why we have a baby Yoda that is still a baby, and I think there's a lot of problems there with that. So, I mean, hopefully they'll pull it out of their ass or something and get it right, but I doubt it at this point.
Well, it's also an issue where I feel like the Mandalorian's been co-opted into like this grand saga when the initial premise was, every episode he's going to be chasing after a new bounty. We're going to be seeing like the bounty hunter side of Star Wars. And like, I think the best episode was when he teamed up with those other criminals to like, break the criminal out of the transport,
100%.
The prisoner transport. And that has steadily been lost over the course of seasons, where basically now it's like this big epic, like let's reclaim Mandalore and fight the Imperial remnants and all this other like weird stuff that basically the premise should have just been like every week Mando goes on like a new bounty hunting mission and we get to see the criminal side of Star Wars. Like it's a very simple concept that they kind of like dropped the ball on.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, real quick, we got another super chat from Dennis Wright for $9.99. What is the best product of any that J.J. Abrams and Kurtzman have been involved with? I have no idea.
Fringe.
Probably Mission Impossible 3, actually.
Mission Impossible 3 is good. Yeah, 3 is good.
I'd say that.
I liked what the first one with Poe Dameron, the first of the new 3. I liked that one quite a bit. That had Abrams all over it, didn't it?
Yeah, you directed
Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Force Awakens.
Yeah. I like Force Awakens. I watched it a couple times, and I still think it's good.
But if you think about it for
crappy,
two seconds, it gets worse and worse the more you think about it.
The whole cantina scenes didn't need to be in there, but other than that, I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I was really hopeful for that franchise. And by the end of it, you just got these weird, I don't know what the hell it is in that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Kurtzman was involved in these, but someone mentioned in the chat Cloverfield. I like Cloverfield, and I don't know if he was involved in Super 8 or not, but I did like Super 8.
Yeah, Super.
Well, I don't think
made
Crispin
good.
was involved with that.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so either. But Abrams has lots of good stuff. But I think you're right. He doesn't have like an end game. It's just he gets the ball rolling, and then he hands it off to somebody else, and then they break the ball into a bunch of little balls, and now we have a bunch of stupid little storylines going everywhere. It's, ugh.
Right.
Focus,
Real
man.
quick, guys. If you want to be entered in for the giveaway, type in hashtag Salty Saturday to be entered for a free wallet. That's all you have to do in order to participate. I mean, I think I just checked and like no one has typed in the hashtag to get entered. So if nobody wins this week, then
I've seen a few people put it in.
Yeah, it was at least 5. Yeah, it was at least 5.
Oh, okay.
Are you
Maybe I
using a
have
bot
to,
or something to?
No, I'm keeping track of the software. But let's see here. Maybe let's see. Okay. So it's all lowercase, hashtag lowercase Salty Saturday. Maybe that might be it.
Oh, that's probably it.
Yeah, sorry about that. So let's talk a little bit about Doctor Who. So this was a topic that Dave Cullen, before he couldn't make it, wanted to discuss. And this is basically there's a rebranding of Doctor Who going on. So the BBC has teamed up with Disney to launch a highly ambitious reinvention of Doctor Who, starring the first Black Doctor. Right now, David Tennant has reprised his role as the Doctor, but he's only there temporarily to bridge the gap to the newly reimagined Nukti Gatwa. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm probably butchering that. But in addition to that, Doctor Who has news just came out that they've cast the first trans man who used to be a woman in the show. It's unclear who this actor Pete McHale is going to play, but it might be one of the new Doctor's companions. One of the things that Chris Chibnall's reign over Doctor Who introduced was an insane amount of wokeness. And there was a lot of hope that now that Russell Davies is coming back to take over the showrunning duties, that there would be less wokeness in Doctor Who. But it appears that Disney said, nope, go as woke as you want. Otherwise, we're not going to distribute it in the United States. And there appears to be a lot of stuff in flux with the Doctor Who universe. So Tom, Conspiracy Tom, what's your take on this?
I don't know, man. Don't ask me questions about this. I'm only going to get myself in trouble.
I know.
It's. I mean, it is what I don't care. I don't care who. I don't care who gets cast in anything. I don't. Right. I don't care. But what I do care is when it's like you said, we're not going to distribute this unless you do this, and it's just it's so forced, and I'm just so tired of having ideology crammed down my throat. I mean, anybody can be anything. Like they made Michael B. Jordan the Human Torch one time, and I said, okay, fine, whatever. But he's a good actor, so who cares, right? Michael B. Jordan's great, so put him in stuff. Fine. I mean, he was the only reason the first Black Panther movie was good, right? And so cast good people for the roles. I don't care. Just don't cast people for the sake of casting people. It's very aggravating to me. I don't want to say any more about it. I feel like a shill or something, or like a horrible person every time I open my mouth. But
you're a hater. That's what you are. You're a hater.
I'm not a hater. I just want
you're a hateful never trekker.
No, I just want a good product. So I don't care who does what. Just make sure the product's good and quit cramming down the flavor of the week. You know what I mean? I don't get it. I don't get it. I think social media has just ruined the culture, and we're just so overstimulated, and we all just need instant gratifications. And yeah, oh well, I like that. That's fine. Who didn't like it? William Shatner was all up in arms about that, by the way.
Yeah.
So speaking of Star Trek, he was really pissed about $8. He did not.
Yes, he's refusing to pay for that blue check mark.
Yeah, he was really pissed about it.
Odin, so like the BBC seems to be injecting wokeness into all aspects of its programming. And there was a lot of hope after the disastrous Jodie Whittaker era of Doctor Who that they'd kind of reorient back to like the fun sci-fi adventure tales of yesteryear. but more and more it's looking like that's just not going to happen. What is going on in TV right now? Why is there this big push for, like, diversity and inclusion over storytelling?
Because either one, the positions that are now in charge of those decisions are actual activists, and so they don't, activists don't care about whether they make money or not. All they care about is pushing messaging. And if it's not that, then it is someone who, for some reason, buys into the lie that a bunch of people on Twitter somehow make up a portion of the audience that is somehow going to have an impact, when we know as a fact that it doesn't. Any time there's been a company or a person who has fought against the woke mob has ultimately ended up winning by getting more followers, more subscribers, selling more jerseys if they're an athlete. I mean, there's been athletes recently who have refused to wear, jerseys with the rainbow flag on it, and their jerseys have been selling out because people like that fact. And what bothers me the most about all of this, especially, within the context of not just what is going on with Doctor Who, is that it's also this continued perpetuation, not only of just like of ideology itself, but, and I am one where I don't care if I get in trouble for it, because this is honestly what I believe, because I know it to be true. I think biology is an important thing, and I think it's far past the time for us to be open and honest about the fact that these people who are part of this community, I mean, in many cases, in most cases, especially today, just are people who need help. And you don't help them by putting them at the forefront and by pushing the agenda and trying to make it seem trendy. If anything, that actually creates more damage to these individual souls. So it's a degradation of our culture, and it's also just the degradation of the human person itself, and it just makes me sad.
So if I can piggyback onto Odin really quick, because I think you asked a really good question, Matt. I think the question is why? Why is this happening? I think I have a more organic answer. I live in Southern California, and so we get a lot of interaction with the LGBTQ community, and honestly, to say I understand anything about being a trans person, I know nothing about that. I'm a straight white male, whatever, cisgender, whatever they call us.
You're our queer representation, Brian.
Yes, but I'm going to be Shane for a minute here on this one. So Brian can do his thing, but this is my thing, and here's what I'm going to say. So overall, the LGBTQ community, AI, whatever it is really growing a lot in the young generation right now. But let's stop and think about something for a second. Okay. When you are in that community and you grow up, what is it that you want to do for a job as you get older? Do you want to go and turn a wrench, or do you want to do something in the creative industry? You want to do something creatively. You become a writer, you become an artist, you become all of these things that the community does. Now, that's not changed over the years. For decades, that community has had to be silent because they entered Hollywood and had to pretend essentially that they were straight. But that hasn't changed. I think what has happened is that Hollywood has 5% of the population is LGBTQ, right? That represents in the United States. But Hollywood is probably like half of that, right? So now we've gotten to a place where half of the people creating all the stuff that we're watching is now being empowered to embrace their community, right? And they're being allowed to, because the studios are facing a backlash on how, look, we can't fight against this. We can't be against this because now it's the cork is open and everybody's fighting for these rights. So they've been given the freedom to kind of take control of story, and nobody can tell them no. The problem is that they're all tone deaf, because what they don't realize is that community represents a small fraction of all the people viewing. And so what happens is you get this weird dynamic where, the people actually watching these shows don't want to watch this stuff, but the people now have the power to finally make it the way they want to make it. And so we're getting all of this programming, whether we like it or not, because nobody can make it stop at this point. So I think it's been a natural progression of the way this happens. And the only way it can be changed to go back is for the people who are stuck dealing with this end up losing so much money that they have to say, okay, we have to do more representation of the people watching these programs, because what are people watching? Yellowstone, right? What are people? They're going away from the woke agenda.
Well, I'll pose this to you, Brian. So BBC is basically public broadcasting in the UK. Mm-hmm. They don't care about ratings. They're going to get funded no matter what.
Right.
And basically, like, this stuff, it's a way for the political party that controls the BBC to just inject their politics into pretty much all the programming. I think there are only like 3 channels and maybe like 1 satellite channel in the UK or something like that. So this isn't an American thing. This is about like,
right.
This is the woke mind virus over.
They have the same problem.
Europe.
They've got the same problem. It's the same thing everywhere. It's now worldwide. It's the empowerment of these communities who've been oppressed for a long period of time. That no longer, it is now you can no longer oppress them, and which is the right thing. Nobody should be oppressed, but that's allowed. Nobody can say no anymore. Now, if you say no, now you're a hater, right? If you say, oh, we can't have that, now you're you're either for us or against us, right? There's no like, okay, well, this isn't reasonable because it can't be in everything that we do. We can't have this in everything. Now, I'll be honest with you. Even at my kid's school, there is 4 times the number of trans kids than there were just a few years ago.
Yeah, but that's because it's a trendy thing.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So as
they can't get away from it. So
right. So as the culture does this popularity thing, what does Hollywood do? What is even BBC, whatever? They're going to cater to that popularity, and the more popular it becomes, a snowball that can't be stopped. And so you end up with these every single storyline.
I'm scared to death that what's going to happen is like right now here recently, there's a lot of people out there that went through this whole tattoo phase that have a lot of regrets.
Oh yeah.
The tattoo removal business is popping right now. But here's the thing, there's no taking back, and no matter how much you regret your parts down there, that if you made a silly decision or your parents made a weird decision to have you altered when you were younger. And it's going to be a huge problem because society is fucked up right now. It really is. I'm sorry for I don't usually talk that serious, but things are there is askew. Things are messed up. People's morals are not in the right place. There needs to be some serious self-reflection with what's going on with all this kind of stuff. But you know what? The whole world's screwed up in so many other ways.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know what the answer is here.
It's kind of weird to me that like we live in a society where you have to wait until you're 21 years old to drink a beer, but at age 7 you can choose to chop your genitals off, and society just supports that.
And to be praised for it, and not even just support, like to be praised for it, and that is like the mental health problem in our country has been bad for a long time. It's getting even worse with this just complete garbage that is being shoved down people's throats.
But we've seen a lot of this stuff from Hollywood in terms of, like, for instance, Star Trek Discovery had a non-binary character that they kept referring to as they them. So every time people actually spoke that dialogue out loud, it just sounded like so like confusing when you were watching that show. It was one of the reasons I had to stop watching, because I was just like, this just sounds like bad writing being regurgitated, like bad grammar. Like, I can't listen to bad grammar. In the case of Doctor Who here, they're actually like, I remember in early episodes of Doctor Who, they had like Captain Jack Sparrow, who's openly gay, not Sparrow, but Captain Jack, who's openly gay. And that was like a big deal, because it was like, oh, he's a gay character, but he was a cool character,
He's fine.
With this thing, it's like, okay, what's the new flavor of the month? Trans people? Okay, let's cast a trans actor in this role. And the interesting thing about this, I want to put it to the panel here, is that so the BBC, like on its own, was kind of course correcting, right? They brought in the original showrunner. They were going to bring back Stephen Moffat, and they were going to kind of like reboot it with one of the most beloved, David Tennant doctors in recent memory. But now that Disney's involved, because they came on as a co-producer of the new Doctor Who, and they're handling distribution outside of the UK for the BBC. Now, all of a sudden that Disney got involved, you're seeing a big trend back to all the wokeness that Doctor Who fans didn't like, that caused them to shift away from the series to begin with. So how can they be course correcting while doubling down on all the stuff that people wanted to correct away from? Odin, you're big on like the Hollywood stuff. Is Disney just like the kiss of death here?
It seems to be. I mean, because if you look at what Disney's doing in their own universe and franchise, I mean, we were just talking about Star Wars being dead. I mean, every single thing that they touch has just become, complete and complete utter garbage. I mean, the only real success that they have had just over the last few years, like actual big success that I can think of, is Avatar. And I mean, even that, when you compare that to the first film, you're still seeing a massive loss of audience. And I think you're going to continue to see that drop off, further and further as more and more people are being much more aware of how they spend their money. But it just boggles my mind. And because you're seeing this now impact their stock prices, you're seeing this impact, so many things to the point where now they're firing 7,000 employees or something like that. So they're clearly feeling it. And so it makes no sense to me logically why they would continue to push in these directions when it's clear it's hurting their bottom line in an incredibly, I mean, what is, I think, the biggest sign of this? Lightyear. The fact that Lightyear lost like $100 million plus is just insane until you remember, oh, what happened? That's right. They decided to get involved in the Florida bill, the quote unquote don't say gay bill, right? And they made a political statement. And so the fact that this is still going on, though, shows us the people running the show are political ideologues. They are activists. They are not caring at all about what they are building lasting for more than just a few seconds. And they obviously don't care about the bottom line financially either, because if they did, they would not be going in this direction. And so, yeah, Disney right now is I think, ultimately the kiss of death for most things.
Conspiracy Tom, you're the conspiracy theorist who's usually proven right. Is this, just another case of basically like politics, message over entertainment, when it comes to like Disney basically ruining everything that people love?
Well, I've got a lot of takes on Disney, obviously. It's one of my favorite ones to conspiracy go about. I mean, Disney literally tells kids what to think. Disney has raised most of us, and Disney is still raising kids. So I think right now they're kind of in a feedback loop where they're trying to cater to what the zeitgeist is, at the same time trying to make money, at the same time buying up all these properties that people like us already like. So in my head, it goes like this. The five of us love Star Wars. We love Star Wars, right? Now, they need to get more people to like Star Wars because we already like Star Wars. We're already in. We're going to watch this stupid crap. We're going to keep watching the stupid Mandalorian seasons and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Even though they're bad, we're going to keep watching them. But just like this group, some of us are going to fall off, right? So we're going to lose two of us from the initial group, but they're hoping to gain three from the young people by saying, look at us, look at how just and how righteous we are and all of our decision making. So that's like the money angle of it. It just feels like a feedback loop. When we were young, we got shows like Aladdin, we got shows Little Mermaid, and it was a very different message than what Disney's message is today. So I just think it's this weird feedback loop that they're trying to trap themselves into, and they don't know how to get out of it, because I mean, it's just like America right now. No one's had to make any big decisions that have to like make things change in 50 years in this country. And now things are happening with the we'll call the pandemic, hangover, is that no one knows how to course correct because most people are stupid. Most people are just greedy, crappy people trying to make money. And that's kind of where we are right now in society. It's a lot of greedy, crappy people trying to make money, and nobody's really in charge. If somebody was in charge, it'd be different.
What's interesting to me, and Odin and Brian, feel free to hop in on this, is that it came out recently that every single Marvel movie since the pandemic, since the lockdown, has been a money loser. Even the ones that supposedly like were successful haven't made a lot of money, and this is in the wake of like Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, potentially losing like what $200 million or something like that.
Is that right? I didn't even see it. Did you guys see it?
Well, there you go. That's the answer.
No, I did. It wasn't very good. No.
I didn't even see it.
Yeah. But here's the thing. So like Disney has been forgiving the financial losses of these Marvel movies due to the excuse of the pandemic and depressed theater stuff. But Quantumania is the first actual thing that they can point to and be like, this is a trend. This isn't because of COVID anymore. This is because were making crappy movies, and you saw a big shakeup with Victoria Alonso getting fired, and she was like the executive producer of a lot of these Marvel movies. Odin and Brian, what do you think of this revelation that like Marvel movies have actually been losing money all this time and nobody cares?
Well, I mean, there's a. Go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you're sexy.
You
hang
privileged
out.
class.
No,
you have
hang
a
you know
you
what?
have a
I'll
privileged
go.
class.
I'll go. Here's it's really simple.
Selfish bastard. Go ahead, man.
No one's talking to you, Vader.
So there's a couple little sayings that perfectly explain what's going on with this, and I think our friend Doomcock made both of them. It's without respect we reject, right?
True.
None of these Marvel movies have been respectful to anything, so the fans aren't going to watch them. And
did you see Wakanda Forever
on video?
Yeah, I watched it on an airplane. I watched it on an airplane.
Terrible.
Man, it's brutal. It was.
Yeah.
The first one isn't good, but they really went
awful.
Oof.
And the other thing in a similar vein is you go woke, you go broke. And you add those two things together, you apply them to Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, He-Man, Doctor Who. Just keep inserting all these silly IPs, and there you have it. I mean, I know it's really simple and bare bones and broken down that way, but people like me don't want to watch your woke crap, and we're not going to spend money on it. And that's all there is to it. Now, you guys can make it more complicated, but for us normies out there, that's what it boils down to.
Well, but also add superhero fatigue on top of that. We've got 15 years of superhero movies. Yeah. And so when you add the ideology infused in the fact that, well, God, do I really want to watch another damn superhero movie? Mm-hmm. I don't know. What do you think, Odin?
It's bad generic superhero fatigue. Yeah. Because I think if any studio put out an actually really good, well done superhero movie, I think it would probably end up doing well, right? You need to have the marketing there. You need to have all those other things that are present, and they don't have that. Because we've seen films like Top Gun Maverick, Avatar, and these others that have shown people are absolutely willing to go out to the theater and support these movies and spend a lot of money. But yeah, going back to the original point and original question though about the financials of it, I've been covering these box office numbers even since the pandemic, and including the fact that to say that they're profitable as a company, it's like marginally, it's barely. And that's a terrible place to be. When you're spending hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars every single year on these movies, and you're only making maybe $100+ million or so in that first year back, or to the point now where the only film that they can really look to as far as a moneymaker is Avatar. You look and see, okay, they've been losing money on these films, or barely breaking even, barely making profit on films like Shang-Chi, for instance. Like, oh yeah, it made money, but it's like we're making $50 million return on $100+ million investment. It's like not really.
And they couldn't distribute that in China. They made it for the Chinese fans, and China wouldn't even allow it to be distributed in their country.
Yeah. So they're in a bad situation overall because the films haven't been making money. And look at all of the recent ones. I mean, again, technically Black Panther made its money back, made some profit. I know that there are some reports out there that their marketing was higher than, but again, inside sources, I don't typically go by inside sources. I go by what's reported. But in the end, you're talking about a situation where you're barely breaking even on these movies or losing money.
Well, and thanks to the pandemic and the streaming services, right? Movie box office numbers are 20 to 25% lower than they were before the pandemic anyway still. So you've got people who are like, shit, I'll just watch it. I'll just watch it at home. Yeah. So that's another problem they have with making money in the theaters.
And what's crazy is like you have all these big Hollywood studios and tech companies and stuff like that taking austerity measures because they are worried about losing money. They're seeing the downturn in the economy. They're firing thousands and thousands of people, putting them out of work. And if this was happening under like a Republican administration, that would be all over the news. But now, like, you don't hear about it. Like you hear about the layoffs, but nobody's outraged that people are losing their jobs. Like it's like, oh, these big media companies, they need to cut back on content because they're not making any money. They have to get rid of like the repetitive or the dead weight on their thing. Like when we saw that Elon fired like 90% of Twitter and like it still ran just fine. You know, like I mean that was very telling to a lot of other
yeah.
companies out there, and they're like, maybe we should like cut back on our
I
thing.
wonder if they still have the coffee shop in HQ over there.
I don't think so. But like what just strikes me is like, all this economy is so bad. Everyone knows it's bad, but nobody's reporting on it. Nobody's really talking about it. Nobody's outraged about it because the right party is in power right now. They don't want them to look bad.
Is it bad? I see a lot of construction going on around my neighborhood right here. It's going crazy. Somebody's buying that stuff. But yeah,
construction aside,
China.
At what rates is the real question?
Well, all that stuff is public works, Vader. But here's what I'm getting at here is that news came out this week that Ike Pearlmutter, the head of Marvel, was just fired by Disney. And what's interesting to me about this is so like he was in charge of like the publishing end, and he really didn't do anything. He was kind of marginalized. So this isn't a big deal. But what gets me about this is that every story about Ike Pearlmutter has a picture of him with Trump on the page, and it's like, oh, he was a Trump supporter, therefore like it's okay that he got fired.
That's why they were failing.
Yes,
that's it. Duh.
That's the reason that he was taken out. And Ike Pearlmutter,
interesting.
Like he's the guy who bought up Marvel when it was like kind of sinking in the 90s, and he kind of like built it back up and created the Marvel Studios with Avi Arad, his business partner. And one of the greatest Hollywood Game of Thrones stories is basically how Kevin Feige basically went behind Perlmutter's back and got Disney to basically hand the keys to Marvel over to Feige and marginalize Perlmutter. So like I just found that this story is very interesting. I don't think that this is going to have like a big effect on anything, because basically Disney's just absorbing the publishing arm of Marvel, which it pretty much already did. But I wanted to get your guys' take on this. Do you think that this is a way for Marvel to kind of like course correct, or is this just going to make it more Disney-fied?
More Disney-fied.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Are they still publishing things? They still make comic books? I don't know anybody who actually reads them. So,
they're still putting out really bad comic books. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Not
terrible
for
art,
me.
super woke stories.
Yeah, they haven't made good stuff since like the Ultimate storylines. Those were really good. I liked the Ultimates.
I don't read comic books anymore because they're all terrible. With the exception of a few, Comicsgate type stuff, I guess, some Cyberfrog. Iron Age, yeah. So
yeah, it's not a lot. Yeah, it's all because look, Disney owns Marvel now, right? Yeah. So what are you going to get? You're going to get Disney princesses instead of Iron Man, and we now have Ironheart for some reason, and it's rough, and look. Disney princesses, whatever. I liked, Little Mermaid and all that crap when I was young. It's fine. It doesn't matter. But the point of it wasn't, oh, look at this. Look at this person who's marginalized and how amazing they are. It's just, here's a good story. Enjoy. And they've just really gotten away from it. The story isn't as important as the message anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Nike will tell you that. Like Nike hasn't made good products in 15 years either.
But we got a really good movie coming out about how you made a Michael Jordan shoe.
Well, yeah, I
can't wait for that, right?
No, it's terrible, and it's just greed is showing itself. People have been gone unchecked for a long time, just making money, and COVID proved a lot of things, and one of them is a lot of people don't give a shit about the way things are going, and most of us are out here trying to make money, and no one really cares. And it goes to show in pretty much everything. It goes to show in art. It goes to show in sports. Just no one cares anymore. I used to be a huge, Golden Knights fan. I used to get to games all the time. After the COVID bummers of everything, no one really cares like they used to. It's just, I don't know, man. Yeah. Things are just different. Nobody seems to care anymore, and it's all about ideology over creativity, and it sucks.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Got a super chat. Real quick, we got a super chat from Dennis Wright for $9.99. Serious question: is there any good woke entertainment, story, and quality together? Nope.
Can I answer that one?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So this is a really big deal for us. So I think woke, the term woke really has a different definition for different people. So in my opinion, woke doesn't mean just because something is diverse, right? That it's necessarily woke. You know, you can have diverse things that are fine. I think the problem is woke is when it becomes ideological over story. So when they're trying to press their message over telling a good story with good characters, that's when something becomes woke. So that makes it bad. So, I mean, a lot of people kind of put the whole thing like, oh, there's an LGBTQ character in an episode of this thing. Oh, it's woke. I don't think you should categorize it that way. That actually makes you a bigot. So, and you don't want to, I don't know, how people feel about this whole thing, but I think it's kind of, not cool to simply say, well, because this person is of a different race, or if it's a different, persuasion, then it's automatically bad, because that's not necessarily the case. You can tell a good story, which is what he's asking right here. And I'll use one example of this is the new Quantum Leap series. For most of the episodes of Quantum Leap, they have a non-binary character that they're just telling the story. The non-binary character is they're being themselves, but it doesn't take over the story. The story is what's most important. And they've done a really good job of not making that woke for most of it. There's been a couple of episodes, but I think that is how how you should categorize things that are woke versus not, because it's becoming a dog whistle word where nobody's paying attention to it anymore. And if we treat it that way and we don't be very specific about what we think woke is and isn't and what that means, then people are going to just stop listening. So I think be careful how you use it.
I strongly disagree with your definition, Brian, because to me, woke has always been weaponized political correctness. It's like,
I think that's what I said.
You have a group of people out there who have these ideals, who believe that they are the superior ideals to everyone else's. And if you do not conform with these ideals, you are deserving of ridicule, cancellation, and attack.
That's what I just said.
No, I didn't clock it as you saying that.
No, if your message, if what you just said is more important than the story and the characters, then that's woke.
It's not just the message in terms of story and characters. It's you as an individual, right? So, like at any point, if you disagree with someone who believes that they are woke, that their mentality and their beliefs are superior, then you are no longer a human being deserving of respect or rights or anything like that. You deserve to be canceled. You deserve to be shamed. You deserve to be browbeaten until you come around to their views of things. It's weaponized political correctionism.
No, yeah. Okay. I thought he asked, the question was give us something that's woke, like something that is good and woke in entertainment. Is that not the question?
But even by your definition, Quantum Leap, not woke, right? Like just for including a non-binary character doesn't make it woke.
That's right.
But if you do what Star Trek Discovery did, which is basically like, if you don't respect the non-binary,
100%,
like you're evil, you're a bigot. And it's not even within the show; it's the fan base, right?
Well, those fans, but we're not talking about fan bases here. We're just talking about the product.
No, we are, because the fan base determines what's good or not, right? Like they determine what they're going to accept and what they're going to reject.
I mean, are we talking about woke people? Or are we talking about woke content? I mean, because there's two different things here. It's
the same thing, though.
I don't think so.
Distinction.
Diversity and wokeness are two different things, right?
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
And I think we can all agree that intent is what matters, right?
Yes.
If the intent is, we're just going to put an excellent actor in this role, then fantastic. But if the intent is, no, we are only putting this in the role because of this, then it's ugly, and people see right through it, and it sucks. It really sucks to see it. So
you said it so much better than I did. That was perfect. That was it.
It's all about intent. It's all about intent. What is your intent? It's like the movie Blazing Saddles, right? Is it hella racist? Kinda, but it's not. It's satire, and that's kind of the point, right? Richard Pryor wrote the damn thing with Mel Brooks. Two of the greatest comic geniuses of all time. And on Mel Brooks, don't forget to watch History of the World Part 2 because it's fantastic. It's totally good. Yeah, it's totally good. Great show. It's total Mel Brooks all the way through. But it's
there you go. You answered this question. History of the World Part 1. There's something woke that's good, right?
History of the World Part 1 was woke.
Or Part 2. I mean, Part 2.
No. Part 2 has diversity, but not wokeness.
That's the difference. Yeah. So just because it's diverse doesn't mean it's woke.
That is correct. Yeah.
So Matt, what were you trying to? Was that what you were trying to say? If it's diverse, it is woke, or if it's the ideology behind it? So can you explain
my definition of wokeness is weaponized political correctness.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if it's like content or people. That is the overarching term that I define stuff by. So, like Tom's absolutely right. Like there is a difference between diversity and wokeness is toxic to the culture. It's toxic to people. It creates division. And it's all under the auspices that there are some people out there who are superior to others. And if you don't align with them, then you're deserving of destruction. And it's evil. It's pure evil. But getting back to wrapping up the show, everyone in the chat, I'm really sorry. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard's software today, but like I've lost all the entries. It wasn't recording them properly. So if you want to enter the giveaway, just type in hashtag Salty Saturday right now, all lowercase, and we'll get you in there for the drawing. I'm really sorry about this. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard's giveaway software.
It's acting a little wonky.
It is acting a little wonky today, but in the meantime, before we announce today's winner, we have a special announcement that we're going to make on Monday. So basically, the Salty Nerd podcast and the Popcast guys have teamed up, and on Raw Rant on Monday, which has special guest Captain Shaw himself, Todd Stashwick.
Yes.
We are going to be making an announcement at the end of that live stream that is going to be huge. Brian, do you want to tease this any more than I do?
I mean, I don't know how much you want me to say, but all I can say is like, if you want an incredible experience with Star Trek Picard season 3, then stay tuned for Monday, because it's going to be huge, just like you said.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to want to watch Raw Rant just because Todd Stashwick is going to be on there.
Right.
But in addition to that, we're going to be announcing like a really cool big thing that you're going to want to know about.
How big are we talking there, Matt? We talking? Oh, that,
The well just got 10 feet bigger.
Look at that wingspan, bro.
It just got 10 feet bigger.
Yeah, we're going to do arm circles, Tom. Doing the arm circles.
I'm having a great time. Having a blast.
All right, guys. So time to do our giveaway. We've got 11 entries right now. Thank you all for submitting. So let's see who's going to be our winner.
Oh,
Destiny Captain.
Congrats.
Yay. Congratulations, Destiny
Good
Captain.
job. Dang it.
You have won today's entry into the wallet giveaway. So we are going to keep track of everyone who gave us super chats, as well as winners of these things. And don't forget, just by being a member of our Salty Nerd YouTube channel, you also have a chance to win a hat every month just for being subscribed. So we really appreciate the support that everyone gives us. Love you all. Astro Nerd Boy, Mexican Iron Man, Shenanigans, Whiskey Jack, Foxhound, Gavin Blackburn, the Popcast guys, and Dennis Wright. Thank you all so much for your support in the vein of the super chats that you gave us this episode. We really, really appreciate it. You guys are so generous. We love you all. Odin, any final thoughts, and where can people find more about you?
You can find me over at OMB Reviews on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, Twitter, etc. I'll have my live stream tonight, Welcome to Asgard podcast. Since I decided not to go to Orlando, I was originally going to go and then decided not to because of the drive and had school, and it was just this. It would have been a big headache. But anyway, if you are down in Orlando, hope you're having a good time, and thank you as always for having me on. And shout out to everybody here.
All right, Conspiracy Tom, any final thoughts, and where can people find out more about you if they're so inclined?
You can mail me because I am increasingly reducing my digital footprint. You all should try deleting your Instagram sometimes. It took me almost 2 hours to do it. And they still wouldn't really let me do it. It was a fascinating process. I learned so much about how little control I have over my data when I was trying to get rid of that. But you know, I come on the show frequently enough, and you can always reach out to Matt. He knows how to reach me. So you know, if you're out there in the world and you need some decorating tips from Conspiracy Tom, get a hold of Matthew Kadish at any of his sites, and he'll get a hold of me. That's the way I like it.
All right, Brian from the Popcast, thank you so much for coming on as you do every week. What does the Popcast have going on, and do you have any final thoughts about the topics we discussed today?
Well, I'm super honored that you guys had me on the show yet again. So thank you for that. You know, I just think that, you know, we should all just try to get along better. The whole world. Let's just be friends. Okay? Yeah, that's all we can do. And then I'll see you guys Monday. Raw Rant. That's it. So thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Matt Bader 74, what do we got going on this coming week on the side of things?
What do we have going on this week? I think we're releasing our first episode of our Warrior breakdowns. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Warrior from HBO Max, one of Jonathan Tropper's awesome shows. It's really super fun, man. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of fun. We're getting through this thing. Got a lot of short videos coming out. Man, I don't know what we got going on. You got so much stuff in the queue that it's kind of.
We have our Tuesday live stream at 1:00 instead of 1:30 this coming Tuesday, and we're going to be interviewing Charlie Allen and his son of Combat International. These are the guys who did all these stunts for the Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out on Friday. So we're going to be talking with them, getting some inside scoops, talking about stunt work and fighting choreography in general. And we're going to be doing that live on our channel on Tuesday at 1:00 p.m. Pacific time. So that should be a lot of fun. And we're also doing Star Trek, the original series live commentaries for our Patreon club members. So if you go to saltynerdclub.com and you want to watch some really funny commentaries for Star Trek, the original series, we just did one that was like way off the rails. Should be coming out on Monday, but it had to do with Kirk and an underage girl. It was kind of awkward.
No blah blah blah.
No blah blah.
No blah blah blah.
Exactly. So go check it out. We have a couple different membership levels over there, and for the YouTube members, we're going to start doing some members only content over here as well. So if you want to get the full spectrum, go to both sites. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for being here today, and join us next week as we talk about yet another bunch of topics that nobody cares about. And we're going to have Ruin Johnson himself, Anthony Ergo, who does the Ruin Johnson parody account on Twitter. He's going to be joining us next week, so that should be a lot of fun as well. He's going to be talking about the Mandalorian and how Ryan Johnson would have done it. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much, and we will see you next week. Stay salty.
We just threw away our old wallets. Want to know why? Because we just discovered the most efficient smart wallet in the world. Exter has revolutionized the wallet, and we will never go back to bifold. We are so impressed. Exter wallets are super slim and sleek. They are half the size of a conventional bifold wallet. Compact and modular, they hold 12 cards or more plus cash. And that means no more stuffing that bulky, worn-out bifold wallet into your back pocket. Forget sitting on that uncomfortable lump and slide Exter into your front pocket instead. This high-quality wallet combines Italian leather, space-grade aluminum, and carbon fiber. Plus, it includes built-in RFID blocking to protect you from wireless theft. And you know how hard it can be to replace all of your cards if your wallet is stolen. Exter includes a tracking card to help you keep an eye on your belongings with a map, and you can even ring it for location assistance. This is the last wallet you'll ever buy. To get an Exter wallet like ours, visit shop.exter.com/thepopcast. Get 25% off your order when you use code THEPOPCAST at checkout. Join the wallet revolution and upgrade your quality of life with Exter today.